The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
Hooray for Hollywood, where stars are living large, in mansions with their servants and their credit cards in charge, with fame that's fleeting, but the egos never change, where everyone's a genius, except the ones who really arrange. Hooray for Hollywood, where the scandals always sell, where every whispered secret is a new tabloid's tell. Oh, how we adore the endless red carpet galore. Hooray for Hollywood, where less is always more.
Happy Memorial Day, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are listening to a Rad Religion Broadcasting premiere podcast. Damn you, Hollywood. And here's your host, Robert Winfrey. Hang on.
You okay, Mark?
Not excited by this review. So, also, I'm half watching the Knicks Cleveland win or go home game.
Okay. As long as you're all right.
Oh, I'm fine.
You look a little.
I went swimming today.
You say you look a little
red.
Yeah,
I mean, like I'm sunburnt and everything. I had a hat on, had a shirt on, had a shorts on. You know.
So not the other kind of swimming you normally do.
No, this was clothed. It's really weird because you're right, Robert. And let's talk about this in vascular detail. I normally am out in the sun completely nude, but this was a different kind of swimming where I am completely clothed. Don't you understand? It was the exact opposite.
1920s bathing suit style. I can see it now.
Oh yeah, with the high socks and and everything. Yes, I look like influential white mid 20th century male, just out there on the beach waiting to get eaten by a shark on Memorial Day weekend.
That sounds about right. Well, joining us tonight as we tackle this alleged movie, we have Alexis Hana. Alexis, it's been a minute. How you doing? Okay. Quit fighting over the soundboard.
You want to make fun of me, Mark? Don't give me access to the buttons.
I'm about to kick you off the show. Listen, I wasn't gonna boo you, but then you had to go into business for yourself like you always have to do and ruin
because
everything.
I knew you were going to hit something the minute
it's my show and I get to have the last word. You did that to yourself. Go ahead. You asked to be here.
Yeah, I know I did, because someone's got to be the little ray of positivity on a show like this.
Dude, even Zach didn't like this.
All right, so we're talking about the Mandalorian and Grogu. The Mandalorian and Grogu is season 4 of the Mandalorian that was repurposed like Moana 2 and Inside Out 2 into a movie because Disney had nothing. However, I did some homework tonight, and Alexis reviewed all 3 seasons. I reviewed the first 2. I ran the review of the first 2, and then I gave up on everything Star Wars by that point. So then she took over and did a review with 2 other loyalists to Star Wars. So here's the summary of our review of the show. Across all seasons, we collectively saw The Mandalorian begin as a stripped-down space western that restored faith in Star Wars by focusing on archetypes, atmosphere, and emotional simplicity, then slowly evolve into the same interconnected franchise machine audiences were trying to escape. Season 1 worked because it felt mythic, episodic, and restrained, a lone gunslinger protecting a child in a lived-in galaxy. Season 2 expanded the mythology successfully through characters like Ahsoka and Bo-Katan, while still anchoring everything emotionally in Din and Grogu, though we already noticed the creeping homework problem and the growing dependence on lore. By season 3, the show felt fragmented between prestige storytelling and Disney Plus franchise maintenance, overloaded with side quest cameos, setup obligations, and MCU-style interconnectedness. We praised the action, world building, and the Mandalorian culture, but increasingly questioned the pacing, narrative focus, and whether Star Wars was becoming less myth and more corporate continuity management. Robert, you still have not seen a single season of this, right?
I have not seen a single episode of any of
Yeah.
any of these things.
Robert, honest question: do you even have Disney Plus?
Of course.
Oh, say, what do you watch on Disney Plus?
Well, because it gets Hulu comes with it. It's kind of bundled there for me, so I get a lot of horror movies that I get through there. Because the Alien franchise rotates off of HBO every now and then, frequently off. It's almost always available there.
Well, it's a Fox property, so that makes sense.
Yeah, like that. So I have access to the Fox library. Mostly I have The Simpsons. I'm not gonna lie, it's mostly The Simpsons.
Because it's you, of course.
So, Alexis, rate your Star Wars fandom at this point. Like, it's been several years since the Rise of Skywalker. We've had several, just like with Marvel, we had several years of these stupid shows. I'll show my cards if you'll show yours. Obi-Wan Kenobi kind of killed Star Wars for me, and I gave Ahsoka a chance. I didn't have enough anchorage in Rebels or
Clone Wars, Rebels,
yeah, the Filoni verse to really, and I thought it was boring. So a lot of what like Andrew and David and all them liked about Ahsoka, I didn't really have any attachment to, but I didn't think it was a bad show. I was just bored by it. And then I hung around for the Acolyte. I will talk more about the.
We're not talking about the Acolyte review.
I will talk more about the. I will talk more about the Acolyte when I get to it on sessions. Then I can have my therapy session, where I can or my speaking before Congress where I will name names. But I would say the death knell for. There were two things that happened that really killed my interest in Star Wars outside of the stupid movies. Obi-Wan Kenobi. They were throwing mountains at each other, and I was done. And then the second thing was how bad Boba Fett was, and then it undid the season 2 finale of The Mandalorian. And at that point, I kind of lost faith in this franchise and decided this isn't for me. So now you can tell your story.
Okay, like I said, don't like to talk about the Acolyte. The less we bring up that night, the better. I did review Ahsoka with David Wright, and one of the things we talked about was the problem that Filoni's Star Wars universe was starting to feel like homework. If you have not watched Star Wars Clone Wars or Star Wars Rebels, you are not going to understand a damn thing that's going on in Ahsoka, and I hated that. Mm-hmm. And even though, now admittedly, I have not watched Clone Wars or Rebels, it's on the to-do list when I actually, have time to sit down and watch something that I want to watch that is not for you, and, So I had to do a lot of early homework going into it, and even then I still was like, no guys, this really isn't that good. I'm sorry, regardless of whether or not you knew what was going on. I didn't think Ahsoka was very good. Then again, you have Skeleton Crew, which I reviewed with the full group, and we praised the hell out of that. Mm-hmm. Really enjoyed it. I still stand by Skeleton Crew as one of the best Star Wars things that has come out. But
really quick interruption. But I've heard everyone keeps telling me the one saving grace of the last 6 years of Star Wars is Andor. So it's on my list of things to watch. And I've been told watch all of Andor and then rewatch
Rogue One.
Rogue One.
Yes.
And you'll kind of get like an encapsulated trilogy that ends very satisfyingly. And that is the one little island of greatness in a sea of dreck, which is Star Wars. Back to you.
Yes. Andor is also one of the series that we gave high praises for. It does have a little bit of a drawback that it is a very slow start, but it ends magnificently on both seasons. It's one of those you kind of have. It's like the good is coming. Just kind of get through the first few episodes because it is a very slow start.
For what it's worth, it's very much your kind of show.
Agreed.
It's not just good objectively. I think it is a lot of stuff that you like digging into. So I think you'll have a good time with it.
Okay.
There's also a lot that is really parallel to seeing the rise of the Third Reich during the early days of World War II. And if you're a World War II historian and you like researching stuff, you're going to really appreciate the parallels between our history and what Star Wars is built through Andor. It's very well done in that aspect. So again, I am not a diehard Star Wars fan, but I did enjoy all 3 seasons of The Mandalorian. I liked the Book of Boba Fett. I'm sorry, I know that that's in the minority, but I enjoyed it. I still remember writing on Facebook, "Oh wait, so Rancors are just basically space pit bulls?" And they are. But I did like it, and I enjoyed The Mandalorian and Grogu, and I was very much so looking forward to seeing this movie.
Robert, you've reviewed every single Star Wars movie there has been since the Fox purchase. We did the sequel trilogy, we did Solo, we did Rogue One. To sum it up best, some things may be good, some things may be shit.
That's about right.
Where are you on what you've seen, liked, disliked on Disney Plus?
So full disclosure, not a big Star Wars guy. My knowledge of it is more osmotic. Like, I know people who are big Star Wars fans, so I've absorbed a lot of stuff. A lot of my relationship to the Star Wars IP is I know people who really like it, and I don't mind listening to them talk about stuff they really like. So whether I care for it all that much or not, I've absorbed a lot of information. I haven't really watched much of Andor yet, which is the only thing I'm thinking about watching. I didn't see Skeleton Crew, but in fairness to Skeleton Crew, the entire pitch for that is sort of trying to get the groundskeeper Willie thing, like you lost the young males.
I was gonna say it's the Goonies in space. Is how it was.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually the joke we made, is that we called it. It was an Amblin entertainment movie, but it just happened to take place in the Star Wars universe. It's like the glorious days when kids on bikes could save the world.
It's a little bit that, yeah.
And that's not a bad thing in any way.
I actually think it's a really brilliant and synopsis of that show.
So I haven't watched that just because I'm not super interested, but I'm not throwing insults at it the way I will throw insults at, The Acolyte, because it's terrible. I don't even have to watch The Acolyte to know how bad it is. Like, I've never seen anyone legitimately defend it. But
I will defend it in this way and this way only. It is the most interesting thing Star Wars has done. That doesn't make it good. I just said it was interesting. Interesting, like a trauma movie or some sort of experimental student film.
It's the closest thing to an idea Star Wars has had in a long time. And it's a bad idea, which doesn't help anything.
Right, but you know me, I'm a raccoon when it comes to film.
Yeah, no, you will err on the side of, well, at least you tried, more than almost anything else.
If you were to kind of sum up my personage as a film critic, I'm an alley cat with a trash can tray, and I'm just putting garbage on it and walking merrily along my way. Like Tom and Jerry. That's kind of a thing.
Tom and Jerry.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is.
A little bit. What's the Hanna-Barbera one I'm thinking of?
Top Cat?
That's it.
Okay. Well,
that or Heathcliff.
Okay. Every alley cat cartoon does this routine. I'm one of them.
Okay.
But I'm most familiar with Tom and Jerry. Please keep going.
Anyway, so I have not watched a lot of it. I know a lot of people that do watch all this stuff, and I'm happy to listen to them talk, because if you just want to talk about it, I will listen. I will be somewhat engaged. If you're going to, in absentia, defend it, then I'm not the guy to talk to, because then I'm going to think about it critically. If you just want to talk about the thing you like Mark knows this about me, he will talk about something he likes, whether I care about it or not. I will listen politely. I will engage. I've absorbed information from him that way plenty of times. But if you then go, well, so then if you ask me my opinion about it, I'm going to give you my opinion, and that's where things go off the rails frequently, because people mistake my interest in engaging with them in conversation with agreeing with their stances, and those are really not the same thing.
That's a terrible mistake to make with you.
I'm aware. I'm very aware, and people keep making it.
Yeah.
So I'm aware of all of these things, but I have not watched it. Part of the reason I was debating watching the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian. Then they announced this movie. And my decision to not was largely predicated on, I really think that the review will benefit from somebody being on it who is not familiar with the show.
I think you're largely right about that. So two things. I wasn't kidding. I actually did the homework on this. This really was supposed to be, or ideas from this movie were slated for season 4 of The Mandalorian. Disney, I think, when they announced Sequel Mania, also, and this, they didn't necessarily talk about Star Wars. They were more talking about a lot of the Disney proper stuff, and some of the Pixar. But I think the rule came from up on high down to Lucasfilm to, hey, you better pull some of this TV garbage off the slate and rework it because we got to put movies back in movie theaters. So if this movie, and it does feel like extended episodes of the show, it's because that's what it was. I was gonna do a joke tonight about I was gonna do the TV party and thing, and welcome to season 4 of The Mandalorian, and have my son whisper in my ear and be shocked that it's not a television show. I was like, I'm just get on with it. But
good gag.
It would have been a funny gag, but I didn't want to commit to the bit. But I will say this. I think my antipathy, my anger, my frustration with this entire franchise is it ended perfectly with the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian, with Luke taking Grogu away. They told a complete story. And if you wanted to go further with The Mandalorian, then he had to have a new adventure. But Disney steps on its own dick and can't get out of its own way. And it saw, everyone liked the space puppy that is Grogu.
Look, everyone liked Baby Yoda. He took over the internet for about 8 months.
Right. It was the new Minions. And so it's like, oh, we gotta put him back in there. Like, you can't, this is something that Robert and I talk about all the time. It's like, you can't have the show without the thing. It's like, no. If the show is good enough, you can do it without the thing. But we keep arguing in absentia, essentially, with Hollywood over whether or not a product is strong enough to stand on its own without the marketing gimmick. And I'm just, I'm here to do the review. I'm here to do the job. I took my kids to see this. I'll tell you their reaction in a second. But for the most part, I've said this before about a couple of things this year. I'm going to repeat it again. If Disney isn't going to take this seriously, I'm not taking it seriously either. Either write good stories and make the story to be in service of, or don't, and that's fine. It's your company, it's your IP. Do what you want with it. But I'm not going to continue to shovel money and interest into this stupid thing when all they think of it is just an ongoing marketing opportunity and not an opportunity to tell good stories, we've said before, some things make good movies, some things make good TV. The Mandalorian made great TV for the most part. It does not make for a good movie, and you really have to put some effort into that to reverse that trend. They did not. The last thing I'm going to say is, and then Robert can go into his plot synopsis. So we walked out of the movie. Now, don't get me wrong. For those listening or that will listen to this in the future, I actually enjoyed the movie. I had a good time with it. I'll talk more about that in a little bit. It's a nothing movie, but I enjoyed it. That said, my kids had a good time with it. We all enjoyed watching Space Indiana Jones. That said, we're walking out, and my kids have not watched a single minute of The Mandalorian. They don't watch a lot of Star Wars. I think my son watched all the movies straight through, or the first 6 movies rather. I don't think he got to the sequel trilogy because he just gave up. He was like, all right, this is
As
dumb.
you should.
He kind of got to Return of the Jedi. I was like, this is all I needed to see. But they're like, what's a Mandalorian? And the first thing I said to him was, I gave him the real explanation. Boba Fett is a cool looking character, except they killed him in Return of the Jedi, so they couldn't do a Boba Fett show. So they just recreated Boba Fett and gave him a new name, and off we went with the Boba Fett show that isn't Boba Fett. The in-universe explanation is that essentially Mandalorians, and this is the way I explained it, they're religious space marines. And their whole identity is their fucking armor, which is a big problem I have with this movie. And they were like, "Oh, that's kind of it. That's what a Mandalorian is." I was like, "Yeah, it's invincible. It's invincible Iron Man armor, and they run around and shoot people. And there's somewhere embedded in this is some sort of stupid religion, the Mandalorian." Robert, the plot synopsis.
I think your explanation of the Mandalorian suffices for a plot synopsis. So we can move on.
A man in invincible armor shoots things. There's a baby. Ta-da!
Yeah, so we open and we find the Mandalorian still working the Outer Rim. He is bounty hunting for the New Republic. I'm gonna, you know what? Let me just do this from Derpy here. The hate for this movie, I feel like genuinely that being Star Wars fans are terrible decisions for being okay. You word vomited there, buddy.
I think what he's saying is it's hard to be a Star Wars fan these days.
I have no doubt that's true. You all have nothing but my sympathy.
It both is and isn't, because there are Star Wars fans who have basically made the name being a Star Wars fan into a bad word, essentially. Because there are some fans out there, and quite a few of them, that have just decided that they are going to burn this franchise to the ground.
Oh, the haters are out in force. Like I said, I'm going to praise what's good about this movie unabashedly, but I'm going to keep telling you that it's just candy. Like, if you try to look any deeper into this, you're going to hurt yourself. And the usual suspects are all burn it to the ground, kill Kathleen Kennedy. The barbarians are at the gate here, as per usual. Continue, Robert.
Okay, so he's bounty hunting. He's tracking down former Imperial officers for, again, the New Republic. And our opening bit is him killing one. Then he talks to Sigourney Weaver because Sigourney Weaver is
She's
now
the NPC.
No, I was going to say
she's the quest giver.
I was going to say because Sigourney Weaver is one franchise away from being in every major sci-fi franchise now.
Oh, good. Okay.
Hey, it wasn't that hard for her. This is probably the easiest paycheck she's ever gotten in her years.
She certainly wasn't acting.
Barely even has to stand.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I mean, she didn't give a bad performance, but it was clear she was just like, "Oh, I'm just doing this. Okay, whatever," and just gave her minimum.
Yeah, she gave a shut up. And
giving the minimum is the tagline for this movie. Nobody cares.
The Mandalorian and Grogu present giving the minimum. Ta-da! Please keep going.
So she sends him on a 2-part quest. See, we have to find this one dude who used to be a bigwig, and nobody knows what he looks like. But we know who can point us in his direction. It's a couple of these, they're Hutts. The big slugs. But the slugs need you to do another thing because we have a daisy chain going on here. And the slugs want you to go get their slug nephew, who's another Filoni creation who gets shoehorned into things. And go find him. He's on this other planet. Then that's a decent place to start looking for him. And by the way, here's your ship. Why didn't he have a ship before? Don't know. It's never explained. But he doesn't have a ship before they give him one.
It was explained in the show.
I am ignoring the fact that I know what happens in the show on an intellectual level for the purposes of this.
Sorry, you say that and I can't tell anymore how much of it is sarcasm and how much is you just genuinely being bitter.
Well, my gripe with this is anytime you make a movie out of a show, if you expect the mass audience to have watched your niche TV show to get it, you're going to fall flat on your face. So he travels to this planet along the moons of wherever, where they value salt more than anything in the world.
Oh, don't even code it. It's Space Chicago.
Sure. I mean, Martin Scorsese wouldn't be caught dead in the city of Chicago.
No, I'm serious. When they have that escape scene through what is obviously Lower Wacker Drive, I leaned into my best friend I saw this with. I was like, so we're in Chicago, right?
Yeah, that scene, yes. Boy, could we rip off the French Connection anymore? Well, maybe. So they go to Space Chicago, where he talks with food vendor Martin Scorsese, who points him to a gladiator pit where Rotta the Hutt fights for the UFC. He goes to talk with Rotta, and Rotta says, no, I'm one fight away from retirement. I mean, one more fight and I'm out of my deal. My debt's paid off and I get to go be free. And he goes, look, man, your aunt and uncle, those Hutts, they want you back. And he goes, but I'm the son of Jabba the Hutt. This has been said 5 times by this point, by the way. And I don't want to be like my dad. Because despite weighing 800 pounds and being clearly on all the steroids, I still have a teenage angst mentality.
Yeah, who knew that the Hutts could actually develop pectoral muscles? Ugh.
Anyway,
there is a segment of the female fandom that is writing furious fan fiction about him, and you know it.
I'm sure Echo Chamberlain will write another "Girls Are Weird" essay, and I'll gobble it up. But meanwhile,
but Jin found out. But the Mandalorian found out that Rhoda's contract is ironclad and owned by evil Dana White. But I repeat myself. So he goes to talk with Martin Scorsese again, who points him in the general vicinity of Dana White. Because there hasn't been an action sequence in a minute, there's a fight in a bar. The evil promoter shows up, offers Mando a bribe in the form of a salt crystal, which has no actual value anywhere other than this planet because it's just frickin' salt. And tells, voluntarily, vomits all over the place. No, I'm going to kill Rotta the Hutt in his last match because he's been undefeated and people are gambling on him. And if I gamble and if I then rig the fight so he loses and dies horribly, I will make a lot of money. Bet against him and you will make a lot of money and the world will be a happy place and continue going. And the Mandalorian goes, no, I need him alive, much like Anakin Skywalker to Mace Windu. And then goes to try and break out Rhoda. He gets gassed and captured and forced to fight alongside him in the pits. They have a bunch of monsters come out that are like the creatures on the hologram chess game from, the first Star Wars movie, because look at that. There's a big fight. Things go sideways. All the creatures escape. They eventually capture Rhoda, put him on the spaceship, and they're taking him back to and they start getting ready to take him back to the huts, and Rhoda goes, but don't you understand? I just want to open a restaurant because we're already in Chicago. Sorry. The other Chicago show. I'm a troubled genius from a very poor home, and William H. Macy is just doing no one any favors here. I couldn't listen to Rotta the Hutt, not hear his character from Shameless. He doesn't even. It's
my girlfriend
bizarre.
Really likes that show. She keeps trying to get me to watch it.
I was going to say, you got to remember, we don't watch Shameless. We watch The Bear, which, once again, only added to the Chicago jokes.
Indeed. And the Mandalorian tells him, look, buddy, I'm going to take you back. They say they don't want to kill you. And he goes, no, they're probably lying. And he goes, I don't know. They seemed honest to me. This is relevant in just 1 second. And he goes, look, what I'm actually looking for is this dude, Coyne. Donald Sutherland, tall guy, white hair. Sorry, wrong one. That's
Julianne
Snow.
Moore was
Julianne
Coyne.
Moore. I killed my
This will go faster
joke.
if you don't make jokes that don't actually land because you're making the wrong guy reference.
I did it. I did it to myself. That's on me.
Bad Robert. Hang on.
Yeah.
Bad Robert. Do better.
Yeah, that's fair. I've got to get to this person before Katniss Everdeen shoots her in the head. Anyway, I've got to find this Coyne person. And he goes, oh, yeah, it's evil Dana White. And the Mandalorian looks at him like, really? And he goes, yeah, you're a bounty hunter. You can tell if people are lying. His justification for this is literally, trust me, bro. So they go scope out that house, and there's stormtroopers, and stormtroopers couldn't be working for anything other than a former Imperial. And there's all this security, and they go, boy, we're going to need backup to get in there. Then we smash cut to the control room of this big house, and the Mandalorian is there. Just teleports right in. There's another fight.
That's where he spawned from the video game.
Indeed. This is where the cutscene ends and where you regain control of the character. He kidnaps. He's able to get the Imperial guy, gets him back to the ship. They all take off. They get him back to Sigourney Weaver. And Sigourney Weaver says, you were supposed to take Rotta the Hutt and deliver him to the Hutts. And the Mandalorian goes, I cut out the middleman. What do you want from me? I did this better than you wanted me to do it. Now you're going to punish me like every executive? He goes, yes.
In her defense, I don't know if you're going to say it or not, and this is actually an important detail because it matters for the end of the movie. Sigourney Weaver makes a point of saying, we've been developing an intelligence network through these huts. They're feeding us information. So but it's tenuous at best. So we kind of want to keep a good relationship with them. And this was critical to that. And you fucked it all up. Now go.
Yeah, it was basically, you may have jeopardized our relationship with the Hutts and they're going to hold a grudge. And the Mandalorian goes, I don't care. I'm taking a break. So he puts Rotta the Hutt on a ship with a bunch of gun runners, and Rhoda's like, yay, I can go pursue my dreams now of whatever they happen to be. I'll be out in the wide universe. It'll be great. But on the planet where Mando is currently living, now exists a man with a hat who attacks him, captures him, and drags the Mandalorian back to the Hutts and their planet. And somewhere along the way, the Babus showed up because Star Wars must have their own minions constantly now. So the Babus and Grogu, they follow because they know where they're going, apparently. And the Hutts are like, you, Mandalorian, we have captured Rotta because we knew where you sent him. And now he is going to suffer forever because we're a very long-lived species. And you're kind of just human, sort of, maybe, kind of. We're not sure how long your lifespan is. You look human. And we live about as long as those, little green frog people like Yoda. And we can just wait for you to die of old age. And then we will make your little hamster pets suffer forever. And then they take off his helmet so Pedro Pascal can claim he was in the movie. They drop him into a pit. He fights a bunch of water creatures, and then a big fish dragon shows up, and he fights that, and it bites him. And from above, the peanut gallery, so we can all hear this, goes, even if you win the fight, you have been poisoned by the dangerous dragonfish. You will die slowly for our amusement now. And then he escapes because the little guys show up. And he grabs all the little guys and they run back to their ship, but the little guy's ship is actually an appropriately sized little guy's ship. So there's no way a 6-foot tall human being fits in that thing. It's like 4 feet long. And he goes, fine, I'll hold them off. And he goes on a run and gun sequence where he's the only one with a gun. For some reason, all the droids that get sent after him, none of them actually have blasters. But the poison catches up with him and he lays down in a quiet space and he goes, this is a nice bleed out spot. And then Grogu shows up and goes, yeah, but no, because now we need comedy, you see. So he force heals the gaping wound in Mandalorian's side, because of course he does. Then over the next 4 days, he plays alone.
On this episode of The Mandalorian, we get a very quiet episode of Grogu nursing the Mandalorian back to health. 22 minutes of this.
He gets water. He instinctually knows how to build a Yoda hut. He makes it too small, and we get a repeated head bonk gag because
minions.
Someone decided that the 8-year-olds needed a laugh at this particular tense moment. As Grogu continues wandering around, he finds a helpful local who just likes carving wood and playing the banjo on the swamp porch.
He finds Space Kermit the Frog.
That would have been better.
Singing Rainbow Connection.
So he finds this guy, he steals some fish from him, and he goes back there to get more fish, and the guy goes, so you've been stealing my fish, huh? After he saves him from being eaten by a frog, which would have been appropriate considering how many frogs Grogu's eaten. And then as he's talking with the little fella who doesn't actually talk, the man with the hat shows back up because his services have been reacquired by the Hutts. And this moron just tells this random bum in the swamp everything. When you're trying to gather information, the goal is to gather information, not give information. He just tells him everything. Yeah, there's a couple of people. They escaped the twins. One of them got bit by the deadly dragonfish, and he's going to be poisoned, so he's going to be dying. And let us know if you see anything. Okay, thanks, bye. And he wanders away. And then helpful random dude goes, oh, I'm the plot armor you guys have been waiting for. Here, take this. Go give it to your buddy. He'll be fine. Take 2 of these. Call me in the morning. So Grogu goes and gives this medication to the Mandalorian, who then is all fine and dandy. They decide they can't just hide from the Hutts. They're going to have to do something about this. And what's the best way to deal with a giant building full of gangster slugs? You do a 9/11. So they come into a spaceship and just...
people ask why I let you do a rambling, meandering, babbling 30-minute plot synopsis, and I tell them because every once in a while you fucking tickle me. That was perfect. That is worth showing up for this garbage review.
They fly a spaceship into this building. There's there's some fights that go on. They go to save Rhoda. He gets into a big weapons-based encounter with the man with the hat, and Grogu puts the dog to sleep while Rhoda gets into a brawl with the other twins that are kind of in charge of everything because he's not little anymore. And around this time, the Mandalorian's headset pings and says, "On your left." No, wait, sorry. It says, "Hey, boo. Hey, boo boo. I got the reinforcements here." And Sigourney Weaver is leading a fleet of bombers, and we're gonna blow this place up because the building collapsing wasn't enough. It's gonna casually massacre everything in this place. So the heroes escape.
Carefully cultivated intelligence network. Yeah, we're gonna flatten it.
So our heroes escape. The building gets blown up. This particular aspect of the Hutt Empire is no more. Rhoda decides to join the New Republic. Grogu and the Mandalorian head off into space, and Lobster.
All right, Alexis. Where does this rank on your top 10 movies of the year so far? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1?
Well, you'd actually... it's kind of hard to do that because I don't think I've seen any movies yet that would go on in my top 10.
Oh, wow. By the way, the betting pool has Coyote versus Acme as your number 1 movie of the year.
Did you alter my vote?
No. We're all betting that's what you're going to end up selecting.
I already gave my selection for the year. Were you not part of Jesse's betting pool? I already put in my votes.
Okay. So what did you think of the movie?
Okay. Yes, this is a feature film or feature length version of an episode of The Mandalorian. I am not going to be one of those saying, this is so much bigger and so much better than that. This is so important. No, it's not. But guess what? I had fun, okay? I really enjoy the Mandalorian TV series, and there was nothing in this movie that I found annoying or hateful, okay? Action was great. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed seeing my favorite characters back up on the screen. Jeremy Allen White as Rhoda actually did a pretty good job. I thought he gave very almost like a Rocky-esque sense. He has a very... it is, I joke about, hearing the bear, but the truth is I really didn't hear the bear because that's not the character he was playing. He comes across more just like a dumbass athlete, but I believed it.
He came to me, and I'm saying this as a compliment. He came across to me as the hero in a children's cartoon from about 85 to 95.
Okay, I can go with that.
I could see that voice and that kind of character in like an Amblin Entertainment Don Bluth cartoon movie.
Yeah. I like it. I
would have been good then, though.
We talk so much about how there are movies that really move us, and then there are movies that we expect so much more out of this. I went in knowing this was just going to be an hour and a half length version of the show, and I still had fun.
It was only an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's 2 hours and 10 minutes. I just
checked. Oh, it is 2 hours? Okay.
And 2 hours and 12 minutes.
Yeah, like this thing felt 2.5 hours long.
Yeah, well, it's because it was almost there.
There were some parts that I thought could be edited down. The scenes with Grogu monitoring Din Djarin as he was recovering from the poison did go on for a little bit. I'll admit that. Yes, there's some flaws with it, but this is a popcorn movie. I went with my best friend, who's the biggest Star Wars nerd on the planet, and I love her for that. And we got candy, and we're just sitting back watching this and having fun. And in the end, that's what this movie is. It's not meant to be deep or moving or grand or epic. It is a popcorn film, and I think there's nothing wrong with appreciating something like that. Despite what I know many people on this network chat believe, I like Pedro Pascal, and I'm always happy to see him.
If only he liked you.
Good luck, Robert. I'm the one that's supposed to be mean to her. Jesus.
Pedro Pascal doesn't like anybody. I'm commenting on his misanthropy. Don't worry. Never mind. Keep going.
Wow, dude. You might want to scrape the shit off your foot.
No kidding. It's been forever since I've gone to see a Star Wars property in theaters, and there is a real joy in that. I am a big Star Wars nerd, not a huge Star Wars nerd, and thank God I'm not one of those burn it all down Star Wars nerds. But
they don't need help burning this down at this rate. It is the sad thing.
Unfortunately,
you are burning out an abandoned warehouse is the problem.
They're kind of Millhouse, like what. You're the night watchman. How could you let this happen? Yeah, I watched. It started to fell over, and then it fell over.
The jokes about this movie are better than the movie.
No, there are properties that it is just really fun to get to see them in the theater on the big screen with the people that you care about. Even if it's not that great of a film, it's still enjoyable if you acknowledge what it is. This is a popcorn film for fans who still enjoy Star Wars, who enjoyed the Mandalorian TV show. And unfortunately, and we'll cover this when we get to the critical review.
Can I stop you for a second?
Yeah.
You shifted into on trial mode, and sometimes I think you do this, and I just don't pay enough attention to bother to stop you. But here, I'm going to stop you because I don't think it's necessary, and I'd actually rather hear some of your critical opinions about this movie, because you're like defending it as if you're defending it against an attack from me and Robert. And let me tell you, I'm kind of on your side.
Okay, I know he's not.
Yeah, but he's Robert, so who cares?
I'll allow it.
What? Okay, you've said like a million different ways, a million times that it's a popcorn movie. Who gives a shit? What about this movie did you like? What specific things did you like? What worked for you? What gave you the feels? Like, be more craft specific.
Okay, like I said, I love the action sequences. The first segment alone with him fighting off the AT-ATs was so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
That was
when he was on a space horse.
Yes.
I leaned over to my kid. I was like, "This works better if you think it's a Western and that's a horse." And he was like, "Oh yeah, cool."
I like the scene when he goes into the bar. It kind of the salt bar. It kind of has a 1940s noir-esque feel to it, which I really enjoy.
That whole bit, I was just thinking, this is like a children's version of Space Chinatown.
Well, it kind of goes back to a conversation that we had with Skeleton Crew, actually. Mm-hmm. See, again, one of my arguments for Skeleton Crew was that it wasn't a Star Wars property first. It was an Amblin Entertainment movie or TV show first that just happened to take place in the Star Wars universe. Yeah. And that's kind of what I get out of Mandalorian. It's the Lone Wolf and Cub saga, but it takes place in the Star Wars universe.
Right.
And that's what I think is the success. And we talked about what kind of shows, what kind of genres we think would work well if placed into the Star Wars universe. If Filoni actually realized, oh, hey, this is how we actually
did you notice picking up on some of and I'm piggybacking on what you're saying, did you notice that some of the sound design when the Mandalorian walks, he walks as if you hear spurs clanking?
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. That was great stuff. Because everything about this is like, this is a cowboy, this is a gunslinger, on a misadventure, and he's and sometimes he's doing a detective noir thing, and sometimes he's doing real Western stuff, and sometimes he's in a war. It's all of that. So the fact that he's walking, and every time you hear spurs clanking, I'm like, that's good stuff. That's a good attention to detail. That's stuff I liked about the movie.
I enjoyed the sequence where they release all of the monsters because it reminded me of one of my favorite episodes of Samurai Jack. Robert, I think you know which episode I'm talking about.
I do.
And that's a good episode. It's like, well, if one champion cannot defeat them, bring out all of the champions, and they release all these monsters on him, and it's a fun, kick-ass action sequence. So when they bring out all the monsters, I'm like, yay! It's like that. That's what it reminds me of, and I enjoy it. I enjoyed the hell out of the one scene where Din Djarin gets his helmet taken off, because I love the look that he gives the Hutts. They're like, we have disgraced you because we've because we've revealed your face, because his sect of the Mandalorian is so strict that they are not allowed to show their faces. And if your face is seen by your enemy, it is considered the greatest disgrace. And it's like, we have disgraced you. And he goes, not if I kill all of you. Sorry. Good scene. Really good scene. And yeah, I love the moment when he goes back to Grogu and he says, we could run, but I think we know that that's not a good idea. And just it's a one-sided conversation because Grogu can't talk, but it's still a good scene.
All right.
Well, yeah.
I had a great time watching this movie. It's a couple of episodes of television all stitched together. You could literally see the scenes where the episode ends. And I'll tell you, one of my favorite scenes in the movie is the Grogu nursing him back to health stuff. I like that the movie took time for Grogu, like we slowed everything down. I know like a lot of people with the ADHD and the autism are not going to be like, oh my God, there's not enough happening here. Jingle keys really quick. But for people who remember the 70s, it was a nice slow part of the movie where we got to just kind of watch Grogu do stuff, because he's kind of been, since the second season of The Mandalorian, especially in the third and a little bit of the Boba Fett that he was in, they kind of use Grogu as comic relief. He's no longer like just the baby that is one of those things that is one of those impediments that the Mandalorian has to deal with. He's a minion for Gru, essentially. It was nice to not see him played for comedy. I mean, yes, he does the head banging thing, but other than that, you kind of got, they've been kind of teasing this father-son relationship with them, and you got to see, it was like, I'm not leaving without my father. I have to nurse you back to health. It was fun to see Grogu have an adventure. And again, this is why you know that this is an episode of Mandalorian season 4, because it's Grogu, because there's a whole arc that happens. He's like, I don't know what to do about this. And he has to and it's, if you can kind of put yourself in the mind of that character, it's like, oh, what's the first thing I should do? I'll probably protect and hide him in case someone comes around. And so he's building a sanctuary and, throwing leaves on his feet and shit. And he's like, well, I'm hungry. I got to go get food. So everything follows. And I like that sequence. And then I, when it was over, I turned to Jonas and I went, next week on The Mandalorian, which is like my big problem with this whole thing is you can absolutely tell how this was sectioned off. They didn't do a very good job of telling a overarching cohesive narrative. They told you several stories that interconnected over a season of television.
They took like 4 episodes out of the middle of the season and stapled them together.
Yeah. So I'm with you. I like him fighting the big caravan while riding on a horse down a mountain. I refuse to call things what they are. So him shooting at the caravans on the horse, that was great. That was good cowboy stuff. My problem is, as I think, like my initial reaction to him anytime he walks into a room and murders everybody is cool. He killed everyone, and then I have to remember, fuck, he's wearing an Iron Man suit. He's never going to get hurt. Nothing bad's ever going to happen to him. This galaxy functions so poorly that like stormtrooper armor, paper thin. Stormtrooper blasters affect nothing unless they actually want the character to die. His blaster can cut through a goddamn planet if they really wanted it to. His armor can block just about anything unless they don't want it to. And it's like, it's so stupid to me that anytime, like, there's so much of the Mandalorian kicking ass and it has so little tension. I'm just like, well, it's like what I said about Mortal Kombat. After a while, I'm bored watching people fight. Either show me some interesting fighting or show me something with stakes, or I'm not interested. And I'm not one of your dumbbells who, just because people are fighting on screen, that's interesting enough. I don't care. So
Mark,
there's a lot. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'll say, if I may, what I was starting to talk about earlier about the genre placed into the Star Wars universe, I actually would like to hear your thoughts on that. What genre, any genre, would you want to see placed into the Star Wars universe and you would probably watch it? Like, so we talked about it, and the guys and I actually said we would want to see a black and white film noir drama, muted trumpet and all.
You've asked me this question. I've answered it before in previous podcasts. And I threw a bunch out there. But here's the thing. They've done a bunch of these. They did Theocracy and Religion with the Acolyte. They did a bunch of different things and different shows. Problem is, this crew isn't talented enough to really do anything. Star Wars serves way too many masters. It's trying to be for kids. It's trying to be for the fans. It's trying to be for girls. It's trying to make money. And nobody there is talented enough to serve all of those masters equally and good. So it's a lot of foul balls. But they've done like Westerns and Religion and different things. They haven't done horror to my knowledge, but they, I'm sure if they did, they'd fuck that up.
That's because they have no balls.
Yeah. So anyway, back to my
guts you would have to do to do a genuine slasher movie in the Star Wars universe.
Right. So back to my review. The stuff with Jeremy Allen White, I thought was okay. I mean, I get like I want to criticize it for, oh no, another son doesn't like his father. Heavens to Betsy. On the other hand, I don't like my dad either. So, all right. I can see where you're speaking to people. And I think if I move my own stuff out of the way and I just look at what the character's doing, and he's like, thank you. Whoever that is. I think if I'm just kind of looking at what that character says is like, my father was a notorious criminal and everyone sees me as just an extension of him. And I don't, you brought up Rocky. And at first I was like, have you seen the Rocky movies? And then I remembered, oh, wait a minute. If you look specifically at Rocky 5, I get what you're saying, because Rocky Jr. does the whole thing about every time anyone talks to me, speaks to me, all they want to do is talk about you. I never feel like my own person. I feel like I have to get a zillion miles away from you. And
that's Rocky. That's Rocky Balboa, not Rocky 5.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm thinking they were the same movie. Yes, Rocky Balboa.
We all try to forget 5. I understand.
I skipped it. Is what happened.
We all did.
So, Rocky 5. That was it. And then that's when Rocky gives him the. But, that's how winning's done speech. Stop crying about you being in my shadow. Go make your own achievements. So when I thought about it in that sense, his character makes a lot of sense to me. I empathize with his character. I want to see him succeed, which he does. All ends well. All's well that ends well. Sigourney Weaver could not give a fuck less. Trotting. It's funny. My kids and I were talking about the movie as we were leaving, and I said, it's not unheard of to go from television to the big screen. In fact, it happens fairly frequently enough. But you have to, when you take a television show and translate it to a movie, it has to be an event, because typically TV is made on the cheap. It has to be. In the old days, before streaming, before cable, you had 22 episodes of a show.
Even with cable, you still got close to that. Like that model only broke when streaming really became a thing.
So, yeah. This thing where you have 8, 10, 12 episodes of a show, sometimes you had that, but for the most part, you had the standard was 22 to 24 episodes, whether it was a 22-minute show or a 44-minute show. But it was always made on the cheap because you had to make a lot of them. And then if you were going to then say, okay, just as an example, The Fall Guy. So The Fall Guy ran for however many seasons it ran back in the early 80s. And then, like, if we're going to do The Fall Guy, the movie, it has to be bigger, better. It has to have a bigger budget. It has to be an event. Actually, a really great example of this, Star Trek.
Yeah, Star Trek is the quintessential example.
Yeah, I don't have to make one up. Star Trek is, if you like Star Trek the motion picture, it's a little muddy, but it was big. It had a huge budget. It was a big idea. And then I would say the best example of this is if you look at everything Star Trek the series was, and then look at Star Trek 2, where they took some stuff from the series and blew it up and made it bigger. And this is the one thing I said to them. And then usually you have to bring in another actor, a big time actor, one that's going to really make a splash. And both my kids are like, but what about Sigourney Weaver? And I'm like, Sigourney Weaver's 100. And and if this is this is their interpretation of TV to screen, they whiffed. It's a small story I love Sigourney Weaver to death, but and I'll see her in anything she's in, but she's not the big anchor lead. She's not the big star you bring in to signal to people this is a big event. She's a working actress, and God bless her. I hope she gets a million other projects. Let them all be boring sci-fi for all I care. Put her in 1,000 Avatar movies, but she's not what at one time was Jennifer Aniston or Angelina Jolie, or couple years back, Charlize Theron. She's not this huge star that's going to make a big splash and go, oh my God, the Star Wars TV show is now a big movie starring the big actress. Get the fuck out of here.
Like by way of like furthering your point, like you need, partially we don't have movie stars anymore, but
that's a big thing.
Well, hang on. So partially there's that, but it was a big deal when the Mission Impossible movies starred Tom Cruise.
Yeah, that's also a really great example of what I'm talking about. So they don't do any of that. They don't do a Mission Impossible. They don't do a Star Trek. They don't do none of it. And Sigourney Weaver ain't it. Also, leave Linda Hamilton alone. She looks like the Crypt Keeper. But that's a different story.
It sounds like the Crypt Keeper nowadays.
She really does. So it's like when I know Robert hates this phrase, but when I turned my brain off and I just kind of sat there and I didn't think about what I was watching, I enjoyed the television action adventure show that was going on for well longer than an action adventure show should go on television. When I had to sit down and think about it, when I was talking about it with my kids, we say the mark of a good movie versus the mark of a bad one is whether or not it survives scrutiny. It doesn't. It just doesn't. I'm not taking that away from your friend or you or Chris Bailey or Andrew Graham or anybody else that's a big Star Wars fan. If you enjoyed it, great. I enjoyed it. As long as I don't have to talk about it. When forced to talk about it, I have to then look at it critically. It survives no criticism. It is Stormtrooper armor. Robert?
Okay. So again, I had not seen. I know basically what happens. I've listened to other people review the Mandalorian TV show. I've talked with Mark about it. I've heard Alexis talk about it. But having not seen any of this stuff for myself, there's a boatload of things in this movie that are clearly meant to be things you get if you're making an episode of a television show that you expect people to have watched for a long time by this point work. If you're making a movie that's supposed to appeal to everyone, even those who haven't seen your movie, your TV show, they fall flat. There's a bunch of bizarre editing choices where it's like, hey, look at these people in the background. We'll give them a quick foreground shot. Who are they? Don't know. I'm sure there's someone. These are people within the Star Wars universe. They're from that other show that's not this show or this movie. But they're going to be on screen, and we're going to give them a bit of screen time so everyone can point and look like, hey, I know that. Except if you don't know that, it's just off-putting and tiring. There's a lot of that. There is endlessly repetitive dialogue, which in a TV show is less of an issue because you've got another episode that came out a week later. Okay, let's briefly recap or reassert what previously happened in dialogue form, because maybe you forgot over the course of the week. We haven't gone a week. It was 5 minutes ago.
That is like the major problem with binging a series that I've noticed over the last couple of years is that I'll hear characters repeat the same shit, and I'm like, oh, they think I haven't watched this in a week. But I've watched it. I watched it 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes ago, and it's the same shit over and over and over again. It is a major problem with serialization in streaming binge form.
Yeah, it is, and you just kind of have to. And if I were watching a show, I would accept that this is part of the buy-in, part of what's going on. Like there's ways to get around this problem, but whatever. Like but we're not doing that with a show. You're making a movie, and I don't need 8 different times to be told Rotta is the son of Jabba the Hutt in the first 60 minutes of this movie. And you do it over and over and over and over again. And that is just an enormous problem. I get that you had to staple this thing together from a supposed, handful of episodes of television. These are the kinds of things you have to fix in the script. Like, this is foundational stuff. You have to iron this out, or you get this product, which is just tiring and repetitive. I hate the way this looks for the most part. The best bit of action that this movie offers, well, not the best action, but there's the best fight sequence is in the Hutt Palace between Mando and the man with the hat. And the problem is everything's the same tone. Everything looks the same. It's the same washed out shade of green and brown color paletting. So you actually can't track what's happening. You've got these stunt people doing good fight choreography. There's some interesting stuff going on there. And I kind of follow it because I know how to watch these fight stuff in particular. I know how to track it. And you made it hard for me. How's someone who doesn't know what they're looking at going to do here when you've got olive green fighting against shit brown just over and over and over again as your like cinematography choices? It looks terrible, and it's annoying because you're genuinely smothering visually good work. So that's a problem. I gotta be honest, and feel free to disagree with me. I know I'm in the minority here. I hate Grogu.
I'm only pushing back on that because what is there to hate? It's like kind of a nothing character, and the only time they gave him character was what he does in the forest with the Mandalorian.
Do you just hate him because he's popular or because he's overly merchandised?
All right, let him defend himself.
Grogu is, in physical form, a wild misunderstanding of the genius of Jim Henson. If you think of Jim Henson as only like a creature designer, you miss the genius of what he did. Compare Grogu put the puppets side by side. Grogu versus Yoda. Watch how they move. Watch what's going on there. Yoda feels real. Yoda looks like he's alive. Yoda moves like he's alive. This thing looks like a doll. It moves like a doll. I can't look at it and in any way, shape, form, or fashion believe this is a living, breathing creature. It looks plastic. Everything about it is fake. Its movements is like the worst bit of the uncanny valley. For God's sake, Gizmo moves better than this thing does.
Well, hang on.
So,
let's talk about the specificity of that, though. Gizmo was just a furry little bear thing. Ewoks are bears. A lot of this stuff doesn't wear giant, heavy cloaks that completely mask its body. So it's very hard to see it move when it's wearing, a big trench coat.
Okay. Its fingers don't articulate, really. Its mouth barely moves. And it just looks like a cheap plastic doll you'd buy at the store. And again, compare this with the way Yoda moves, because they're the same species. When I say that this thing is a misunderstanding of the genius of Jim Henson's mastery of puppetry and his whole studio being like dedicated to the craft of how do we make this fake thing look like it's alive, look like it's real, move like it's real, move like it's alive. We have to get the audience to buy into this. And it feels like someone just went, but what if we took Yoda and made it cute? And then put none of the effort into making the thing on screen look and move and feel like it's actually alive. The amount of suspension of disbelief I require to believe this thing is analogous to Chucky. I just don't. And consequently, anytime it's there doing things, interacting with the world, I'm just stuck looking at this wobbly plastic bleh moving around through space. And it's interminable. And it's grating on it's borderline insulting to my intelligence. So I don't hate Grogu as a concept. I don't hate Lone Wolf and Cub stories. I don't even hate the idea of taking one of the last members of Yoda's species and having it be in this situation. That's all fine. And if this were watch the thing do some stuff a little bit jankily over a 30-minute episode, it would annoy me a little bit, and I could then move on with my life because it's television. I'm watching this thing for 2.5 hours. And no, just no. Your merchandising opportunity is the bane of my existence.
Can I pile on for a moment?
By all means.
Hear me out. Don't hear what I'm about to say and immediately jump on me. Hear out the whole argument. Compare Grogu to Frodo and the Hobbits from Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. I mean, they look like children. They're small humans. But what Peter Jackson did with them, and this was brilliant, was it made sure to keep showing them, and if you didn't get that they were showing it to you, they certainly told you how much bigger Middle Earth was to the hobbits. That the fact that the hobbits could then survive, conquer, achieve throughout their journey over the 3 movies, and then kind of round that up with this, thing about like even like the littlest people making the big difference, and and being able to exist in this world that is so much bigger and powerful than they are. It was a big part of what the Lord of the Rings was. They don't do any of that with Grogu, but they should, because that's kind of what his character is supposed to be. It's this baby that keeps getting put in these really dangerous situations with this gunman, and you never get a sense of the world is so much bigger and so much more dangerous to Grogu, because Grogu can't be hurt by anything. Nothing ever happens to Grogu. Grogu doesn't communicate his fear about the world. Grogu just kind of does what babies do. It eats, it shits, it coos.
And will in one breath be fiddling around with buttons because isn't he cute, and in another is expected to make complicated electronic decisions about how to hack through doors and locked openings.
That's
he
another
is wildly inconsistent.
They can't decide what Grogu is. It's either a baby or a college student. And I said that when we talked about the Book of Boba Fett, where they gave this supposed baby the choice to stay safe in Jedi school or go off on misadventures with a murderer, and it chooses the murderer. And I'm like, who does this? Who gives the toddler agency? It's the stupidest thing. It's why I hate it so much. And they do a lot of that in this movie, where it's either a toddler or a college student. It never knows, and it's always what it is, whatever the scene needs it to be. So it's not really a character; it's a plot device. Your witness.
Yeah. I'm going to have to just tell you guys I got a very different feel from Jeremy Allen White's performance. I feel like they told him your line delivery has to be as flat as Pedro Pascal's, otherwise you're going to make him look bad. So he did. Just very flat line. None of the acting in this movie is good. None of the actual acting is all that good. The entire production of this had to be such a giant mess, because the top 3 billings for this movie in the credits: Pedro Pascal, the actual suit actor, and the stunt performer for The Mandalorian. How messed up is your production that it is justifiable to put the stunt performer 3rd in the credits?
Pedro Pascal actually fought hard for that. That was his push to have them that high in the credits.
Well, at least he's got a modicum of integrity then, given how much he phoned everything else in, to at least acknowledge the people who make this thing work. I mean, I felt like Pedro Pascal showed up for a day and a half to get wet and then just delivered bad line readings from his house. Like, when I said like this feels like minimum effort, everyone. Pedro Pascal, like I genuinely don't know how much he wants to be here anymore. Sigourney Weaver is just collecting a check and then ticking another franchise off her bucket list. When she collects the final one, she will just snap and erase sci-fi from existence. She will have the Infinity Stones.
Let me tell you how hard I sighed when she showed up in the X-Wing.
Like, oh, God.
Between her and Dave Filoni in X-Wings, and I'm just like, you guys are such marks.
You self-indulgent.
Yeah. I was
Losers.
just like, I'm having enough
Filoni
fun.
More.
I'm having enough fun with the movie that stuff that I'm talking about now sounds like I hated it in the moment. In the moment, I just rolled my eyes. Talking about it now, it's like, yeah, fuck Dave Filoni. But again, the movie is so afraid to do anything offensive, and is like, it's fan service the movie, that because I can guarantee you right now, if we go get a bunch of Alexis's friends and people that have done podcasts with us, and they're all great people and we enjoy them and their opinions, and ask them, what did you think of Sigourney Weaver in the X-Wing? They'd say it was cool. And it makes me want to cut a vein, but they would say it was cool. And I understand this movie's not servicing me. It's servicing those people.
I do think that goes to the overall problem, though, and that's Star Wars as a brand Like you mentioned, it's trying to do way too many things. And ultimately, I mean, for crying out loud, this is the first Star Wars movie in what, 7 years?
Since Solo.
Was Solo post Rise of Skywalker?
Hang on, I'll look it up really quick.
I genuinely can't remember.
For the record, there is something, and I really wish actually Disney would kind of make this more clear. Because Robert, this is not the first time I've heard someone complain about Pedro Pascal getting, top billing when he's just delivering the lines.
Really quick, Rise of Skywalker was the last movie, so this is not 7. It's been 7 years.
Okay. But we have not actually gotten any clarification of how much time, if any, Pedro Pascal is in that suit. Is he in the suit anytime he's not doing stunts? I get that anytime there's the sword fighting, they have another guy, but is he, how much? I really wish Disney would actually just say, okay, this is how much Pascal's doing. This is what his stunt man is doing. Yeah. This is what the sword fighter is doing. Because I hear a lot of people saying it's like, oh, he's just phoning in his lines. And I'm sitting there going, is he? And I'm not saying that as a defensive. I'm honestly curious.
I actually don't think that's a fair criticism. George Lucas set a tone with this. No one must have any emotion unless you're chucking a guy out a window or killing your wife. That's it. That's the only time you're allowed to have emotion in the Star Wars universe outside of the original trilogy. Everybody else has to talk in a fucking monotone. If you're a serious religious figure, monotone. If you're a military figure, monotone. If you're a politician, monotone. It's the only way anyone fucking talks because they think monotone equals serious, equals thoughtful. It's the dumbest fucking thing ever. This is a franchise run by retards. That is why Pedro Pascal has to deliver his lines that way. He's not allowed to act. He's like, no. George Lucas said, our master up on high set this up already, that everybody in this universe talks in a monotone and is sexless. Go.
Also, for the record, my assumption about how much time Pascal spends in that suit, if the helmet is on, it's not him, is my assumption. I mean, your second credited performer in this movie is listed as suit actor.
Like I said, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not. But I am saying this is something I really wish that they would clear up.
For the record, I'm completely with you on this. If I have to eat crow about this, fine. This is the impression that I get from the way that, in no small part, look, if he had got his helmet back before he falls into the water, I would be less confident saying the following. But because his weird fight scene in the water is him, we know it's Pedro or his specific stunt double. And watching Pedro Pascal try to swing around props is painful. I don't know if he had shoulder surgery recently or something, but good grief, man. And then to have gone, and it's stark because 20 minutes ago, same character was a ninja. And now, allegedly, same character. Does the helmet control his dexterity and shoulder mobility and proprioception and physical awareness of the world? Because Pedro Pascal swings those things around very, very poorly. And it's just, I couldn't unsee it as soon as I saw it. Oh, you don't know what you're doing with this stuff. You're doing bad dance moves, whereas I don't mean that to be offensive. I mean, you look like a guy who has done this 10 times versus everyone else the other people who have been in this suit doing the action stuff who look like they've done this 1,000 times. You don't look like the same character anymore because you physically don't move like the same character anymore. And it's a problem. My other major gripe here is the utter lack of character. There's nothing here about the Mandalorian.
I told you.
He doesn't do.
He's an Iron Man suit. That's his character.
There's nothing here with Grogu. There's one bit where he plays housemaker for a little bit and finds, and somehow miraculously, in walking distance for a creature this tall, finds a friendly snake man who knows the cure to the poison. Bear in mind, we're told that this is one of the reasons that stuff with Grogu bothered me. If that had been an episode of the show, it would have bothered me a little bit. But if it was a show, if it was an episode, there's other things we can bake into the episode to explain my following complaint. We're told you were bitten by this very, very venomous creature, and you will die. 4 days later, Grogu gets the antidote. Like, something that much bigger than you bites you and it's supposed to be that venomous, you don't have days, my man.
I was gonna say, what is it for like some of the most venomous snakes on the planet, which again, take out anacondas, boa constrictors, pythons, and just talk about your average snake. Some of the most venomous on the planet. They're not that big, but they'll kill you almost instantly.
Some of the most venomous ones, you get like the taipan, the black mamba. They're large. They're not thick. They can be very long though. But yeah, like you get bit by one of those things, the the very, very, very dangerous ones. You've got minutes.
Look, I don't want to get too much into this because then we're going to sound like the people I hate. But a creature that size bites you and its major defensive attack is venom. Yeah, you're probably dead instantly.
And
you probably blow up is what you had. Like that thing was huge.
It was, and to then have a multi-day sequence with the little green creature wandering around the woods. Like, in a show, you can make this work. I think you could have made this work as an episode.
Yeah.
In a movie, you took all the momentum that you had going as we approached the finale, and you shot it dead. So that's a problem. The overall runtime for this movie is a problem.
Again, this should have been 90 minutes.
You could have shaved so much time off of this.
Yeah, you didn't have enough story to do 2 hours and 10 minutes. Because if you take out all the fighting and dicking around. Last thing, I know I said this in a previous Mandalorian review, but it bears repeating. I don't want to take anything away from the people, and I'm going to try to be respectful about this. Because I'm sure Alexis's friends are going to watch this. Like, he's terrible. We hate him. All right, so for you folks, and for the people that do podcasts with Alexis, if you like the Mandalorian lore shit, good for you. I'm going to say the same thing I said to Jason. I'm glad that makes you happy. From just scrutinizing it, it's the stupidest shit ever. It is a complete misunderstanding of how armor works, what it's there for. It's utterly impractical because of what you were talking about, like, oh, they don't take it off. How the fuck do you eat? How do you sleep? How do you pee? No one is supposed to wear armor for that. And if you start arguing with me, I'm going to scream. In reality, people who have had to wear armor take it off. You want to know partially why? Because as comfortable as it could possibly be, it's still uncomfortable. It still sucks. It still hurts. It still rubs. Like, it's not supposed to be worn indefinitely while you're sleeping, while you're peeing, while you're eating. And I'm bringing this up for a very specific reason because it's like, oh, he's being awfully picking you. No, it's because the fundamental rule of Star Wars right now is it cool? Not is it practical? Not does it serve the story? Not what does it tell us about life, the universe, and everything? Is it cool? It's fucking franchised by 12-year-old boy, and I hate it. I'll give you the last word, Robert, and we can go.
Well, two things. One, it's franchised by 12-year-old boys who are told to appeal to 8-year-old boys.
You're in charge of bringing your younger brother into this.
And that's if you want to make something for 12-year-olds, I mean, I'm not going to enjoy it, but I don't begrudge 12-year-olds having entertainment at all.
Yeah.
I don't begrudge 8-year-olds having entertainment at all. I don't even necessarily begrudge adults who watch entertainment for 12-year-olds and 8-year-olds. Like, I'm not going to sit here and insult you for that at all. I will if you decide to try and tell me how it's not really for kids because you haven't matured past Avatar, which I enjoy, but it's a kid's show. And that's fine. It's a well-made kid's show. Godspeed. I enjoy it. I enjoyed it the first time I watched it. I could still rewatch that cartoon and enjoy the heck out of it.
Right up there with Batman the Animated Series amongst top 5 greatest animated series ever.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. I'm not saying anything. Listen to what I'm saying about this. The problem is you have, the 20 and 30-year-old crowd who decide that this stuff for kids is infinitely deeper, and we're not fools, and we're like, they're trying to justify their own enjoyment of it by pretending it's deeper and more complicated.
Let me sum up that
is.
line for you. A large portion of the entertainment consumer audience mistakes lore for depth. It's not read a book. Go ahead.
And this happens a lot with well-made kids stuff, because there's so much poorly made kids stuff that's something that's just well-made for children. You start desperately trying to glom onto anything, and no, it's just a well-made kids show. That's fine. Again, God bless. We need more of that, less of the bad stuff. I think my other major complaint with this movie, and this is a complaint that I have to just level at Star Wars writ large at this point. Lucasfilm under Kathleen Kennedy was about nothing. And I don't know that Dave Filoni is going to be able to fix that, because I don't think he's as talented as he thinks he is. But
no, his operating procedure is it cool?
His operating procedure is, can I stick Ahsoka in it because I made her and she's cool. The original trilogy for Star Wars is about overcoming the evil empire. Fine, great. Wonderful, like thesis to be about. The prequel trilogy, believe it or not, for as dumb as those movies are, and they are rock stupid in many, many, many ways.
Don't say that to Gen Z. They're apparently Gen Z has hit the level of, I love the prequel trilogy's level of nostalgia.
You're going to press the button on Robert where he's going to scream about all the people doing reevaluations on Twitter, and I really don't need another hour of that. Continue, Robert.
I'm just to all the Gen Z people, I'm just going to tell you, I was there when the Phantom Menace came out. I lived through it, watched it, was in the trenches. Nobody liked it. We liked a couple of moments from it. We all praised the soundtrack, but we all
want to watch more Ray Park.
Yeah, you can go back and listen to interviews with people coming out of that movie. They're like, well, I don't know about this. I'm going to see it again though and see if my opinion changes, because that's what the Star Wars fandom.
So what was what was the prequel trilogy about, Robert? It was where you were before you got interrupted.
The prequel trilogy is about the sclerotic decay and collapse of overblown bureaucracy, the dangers of arrogance and self-confidence. Like it's the collapse of what used to be. So you have the first one that's about overcoming the evil empire. The second one is about how good societies fall apart. The sequel world, because it can't just be the sequel trilogy, but like everything that's come out sequel adjacent, should have been about how do you build, because all we have is destroy and collapse. You have to complete that with build fundamentally. And instead the sequel trilogy became, can we remake the original trilogy without remaking the original trilogy?
No, well, here's where I'll push back. Disney Plus Star Wars shows are about nothing. They have nothing to say. They're about nothing. They are outside of base level entertainment, a giant waste of space. The sequel trilogy was about burning down nostalgia.
No, The Last Jedi. Hang on.
Hang on. The Last Jedi kind of made the entire thing about that.
The Last Jedi makes that as a statement.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just The Last Jedi. That's not what The Force Awakens is about.
Right, but you can't just paint the entire thing with the brush of it's about nothing when one of those movies was about one of those movies is, hey, remember this? The second movie says something to the world that says, hey, you trying to remember what things are about? Don't do that. It's terrible. And then the third movie is, sorry we said that. Please remember the stuff, because there's a lot more stuff coming.
Yeah, so again, it's not actually about anything related to what the first ones are about.
Yeah, and that I agree with.
And Mandalorian and Grogu, unfortunately, falls as a movie. I can't speak to the show, because apparently the show actually has a bit in the first season where Werner Herzog says what I just said. Like, okay, You destroyed the Empire, but can you actually build something that lasts? Can you build something worthwhile? It's real easy to destroy. It's real hard to create.
Ain't that the truth?
It is the truth, and it's so much so that that on an intellectual level, the rest of the Star Wars universe ran screaming away from the concept because they couldn't handle it. Because it holds up a self-incriminating mirror to we can't build anything. All we can do is nostalgia bait.
Right.
Anyway.
Well, it's a bigger indictment of Hollywood at large that the people working in it don't really know how to build anything. Are you done?
My point there was Mandalorian and Grogu as a movie. You said it. I'm going to echo it. It's a nothing movie. Like, if you watched this and had a good time, Godspeed. If you didn't feel like you wasted your money when you went to see it, okay. I'm genuinely glad you got your enjoyment out of it. 1,000,000%. Whatever I say about it, whatever Mark says about it, whatever Alexis says about it, don't let anyone's opinion of this kind of stuff make you feel insecure or inferior or superior or superior. Like, if you're looking for validation, this is a bad place to do it. But because your enjoyment of entertainment should not be contingent on how other people react to your enjoyment of it. That said, if you try to defend this with anything other than, well, I enjoyed it, you're going to be in for a kicking, because this movie does not support that sentiment.
All right. With that said, here comes the money.
We're in the money. We're in the money.
There's a big part of me that wants to put this on my bottom 5 list for just the following reason.
It's going to go on mine for the moment, but it could easily be removed.
Well, my reasoning is this. What are the best made movies? What are the worst made movies? Not what did I enjoy the most or enjoy the least, but what's the best made and what's the worst made? And like, this is a very entertaining movie, but it's not a very well made movie. It's a very competently stitched together series of television episodes, which isn't really a movie. That's my reasoning for it. But anyway, The Mandalorian and Grogu came out with a budget of $165 million at the current time of this recording, or this burial, as you might think it is. Made $165 million. It literally made back its budget.
It didn't, but we'll yell about that in a minute.
Well, I mean, the numbers equal each other. As of May 25th, The Mandalorian and Grogu has grossed $102 million in the U.S. and Canada, and $63 million in other territories, for a total of $165 worldwide. In the U.S. and Canada, The Mandalorian and Grogu was projected to gross around $82 million from 4,300 theaters in its 4-day opening weekend, including 425 IMAX theaters. This projection is on the lower end of any Star Wars title released by Disney since their 2012 acquisition of Lucasfilm. God, what a decade plus it's been. Globally,
domestically opened like on par with Solo.
Yeah. Globally, it is anticipated the film would earn at least $160 million. The film made $33 million during its opening day, including $12 million from Thursday night previews, after which the projections for its opening weekend were increased to $91 to $96 million. Following a more subtle Friday box office, the film would make a rebound at the box office after making major gains in the Saturday box office numbers.
Good grief. What shill is writing the synopsis for Wikipedia?
Across the 4-day opening weekend, the film opened to $100 million. Despite topping the box office, this marked the lowest opening for a Star Wars franchise since Solo: A Star Wars Story, a film I genuinely enjoyed, by the way. So if everyone's like, God, he hates everything Star Wars. No, I liked Rogue One. I loved it, actually. I was one of those fanboys like, yay, violent Star Wars. And I like Solo. Another fucking Western. Maybe I just like Westerns.
It would be nice to see that genre make a bit of a comeback.
The Mandalorian and Grogu was the number 1 movie of the weekend. Obsession rose from 3 to 2. Michael dropped from 1 to 3. The Devil Wears Prada dropped from 2 to 4. The Sheep Detectives, Evan's favorite movie of the year, maintained its spot at number 5. Passenger opened at 6. Mortal Kombat dropped from 4 to 7. Oof. I Love Boosters. So my parents came over to take me out for my birthday dinner, and my dad said that he saw I Love Boosters and thought it was the dumbest shit he'd ever seen. So when you've lost my father, who likes kind of everything except Deadpool, you know you fucked up. Super Mario dropped from 6 to 9. Project Hail Mary 7 to 10. Hey, Robert, Is God Is dropped from 10 to 11. I just want you to know that.
I don't care.
Is God Is, Robert? That's the question at hand. Tuner.
You don't want my theological answer because that
really
would lead to a
don't.
fight.
Debuted at 14. Saccharin 19, and that was the weekend that was.
Okay, hang on. Before we do the worldwide box office, let's talk about Mandalorian and Grogu for just a second.
Sure. That's why we're here.
Because the smooth brain people are out and have done it had a $165 million budget. It's made $165 million. It's starting to make money now, right? These people are out because their medications were withheld. I don't know how they got out, but they're out. And it makes me want to put my head through a wall because we have to do this every now and then because apparently different fandoms come to this realization at different points in their lives. A movie has to make money by at least doubling its production at the box office. Because theater chains don't exhibit these for free. They take a percentage of the tickets, usually around 50%. It starts a little lower, it ends a little higher in favor of the theaters as a general proposition. And you actually and you only get 10% of a ticket sale in China because China. So looking at all this stuff matters because they're admitting to a $165 million budget. Disney has publicly said that they were looking at that they needed something like $600 million to break even on this thing. Now, I don't know if
there's no fucking way this is getting to 600 million.
True. But I think it was in the Hollywood Reporter. I think was where that figure came from. They talked with people at Disney and they said, yeah, this needs again, somewhere in the north of 500 million to really be making money. So you have a $165 million budget. They probably spent about that same number on marketing. They put this thing on a Super Bowl commercial. Those are expensive. They actually did advertise the crap out of this movie.
Yep.
None of which is free. So you're probably looking at call it, 280 million all in marketing as well as production and everything. Then to make money at the box office, double that number. So this thing is looking at around 600 million in all probability to really be profitable because you spent 165 million in the budget. You spend 100 million, 150 on advertising. This is the math, folks.
It's a much bigger deal than succeeding or failing financially. Part of the reason they did this was to test the waters to see if there was anything left in the Star Wars tank that was worth putting in movies. They have found the answer to be no. The Mandalorian and Grogu worked just fine on television. A lot of their shows drove people away from the brand. They have some shows that people liked here and there, Skeleton Crew being one of them, but hardly anyone watched Skeleton Crew. Apparently Andor was great. Hardly anyone watched Andor. Because every time I've brought this up, someone screams at me, watch Andor, and I'm like, but hardly anyone did. The people that did speak glowingly about it, but there's 12 of them. Skeleton Crew is even less. Between The Acolyte, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan Kenobi, a lot of these shows drove people away and they didn't come back. And because they kind of threw everything into the Filoni tank and everything into the Mandalorian verse, they don't have. It's like this either needed to hit a home run or they got nothing. And that's kind of what I want to take a minute and talk about is there's a real question right now. And Alexis, I know we've kind of lost you, but we can get you back into the conversation. And here's one of your great speculative questions and topics that you like to do so much. So, with me, Alexis?
Yeah, with you. Sorry. The minute
I don't need an explanation.
The minute Robert climbed back onto the soapbox, I basically was like, okay, I'm just going to.
What part of I don't need an explanation did you miss? I want to get you into this conversation. And this conversation is we're kind of at a blank slate. the one thing they had, they can't make a buck with. It's the Mandalorian. It's anything that's Dave Filoni, Ahsoka, Rebels, Clone Wars, all of it gone, wipe clean. So there's a conversation out there about them retconning the sequel trilogy. I don't know how much I believe any of that. I mean, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't happen. I don't know if it matters. I've been asked in previous podcasts, my answer was start all over again with a new cast. Just reboot the entire Star Wars universe. That's my answer. I don't need to give it again. I want to hear from you, Alexis. If they fire Kathleen Kennedy, they throw out the window. They
already fired.
Yeah, I was gonna say Dave Filoni's in charge.
Who cares? They fire Dave Filoni. Jon Favreau goes back to his home planet. Nobody's in charge, and they hire you, Alexis. You are here to script doctor the entire Star Wars universe. What's the first thing you do?
I think rebooting the franchise entirely is a stupid idea, frankly. I think that there will only be one Luke Skywalker, one Han Solo, one Princess Leia.
There were 5 James Bonds, but keep going.
I stand by what I just said.
I know you stand by it. I'm telling you, you can always change the character. It works sometimes here, sometimes not over here, but keep going.
I'm saying I don't think rebooting the franchise is the wise move.
Okay.
Again, my argument...
So what would you do?
My argument is exactly okay. I'm sorry, but you're making me repeat myself here. My argument is that they need to do what they did with Andor, Skeleton Crew, and the first couple seasons of The Mandalorian. You need to quit thinking about the franchise. You need to think entertainment that just happens to take place in the franchise. Another good example of this is Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which we also reviewed here on the network. Night of the Seven Kingdoms is a fun story about a knight and a squire. Again, kind of a lone wolf and cub, Last Ronin sort of a thing, but it just happens to take place in Westeros. This, I feel, is where this Star Wars is the best. They need to experiment with genre stories with interesting characters that just happen to take place in the Star Wars universe. Where Star Wars has been failing is the fact that they keep trying to connect things to the universe. I reviewed Ahsoka with David Wright, who is a huge fan of Rebels and Clone Wars, and God bless him, he was able to answer a ton of questions that I had. But even he admitted that there was a lot of faults in the acting and the connections. The whole thing was built. This is the problem with Acolyte. Acolyte had a good idea, but it was built on the concept of, okay, now when we get season 2, we're going to do all this. And then when we go to season 3, we're going to do all this. Mark, you saw Acolyte, I'm right. The problem is that it was an idea that they essentially got ahead of themselves on for futures of the franchise without actually thinking, wait, how can we start things off on the right foot? And that's the problem. Rebooting the franchise would be a mistake because the problem is that they are struggling to keep the franchise afloat. Make Star Wars an existing universe and just start having stories that take place in that universe but don't necessarily work into that universe. It's like when you read a Marvel comic book, you don't always need to read Marvel comics that have to do with what's going on with Captain America and the latest thoughts on the latest, threat to the world. Maybe we'd have fun just reading about some of these characters into a day-to-day life.
The only thing I agree with what you said, because I completely disagree with almost 98% of what you said. But you're entitled to it, and we're having a discussion. And I'm okay that you disagree with me. Where I do agree with you, if you don't want to reboot the whole thing and you want to keep this damaged train going and you want to keep shoving coals into a train engine that's broken, I do think taking the Marvel approach actually might work for them. And that is, we're not really going to tell super interconnected stories anymore. We're going to bring in a director who has a vision. And as long as you don't break too much of the furniture, we're going to just let you tell your own story in whatever fucking genre you want. Don't break this piece of furniture, don't break this piece of furniture, and don't break that piece of furniture. Outside of that, do what you want. Let's give a little bit more direction than they gave to Rian Johnson, but do a bunch of Rian Johnson movies. Not him specifically, but let some auteur directors, let some fun directors, let some very genre, like a James Wan type, just have that, or Quentin Tarantino type, and say, what would you do with Star Wars if you had 90 to 120 minutes and $100 million budget? What would you make? And just let Star Wars be this giant sandbox that really talented people get to play in. That's my idea. What's your idea, Robert?
I don't hate your idea there, Mark. The problem is you have the giant albatross of the sequel trilogy. And if you choose to go the retcon route with Star Wars now exists in a multiverse, you are going, like, I get the impulse there. This is such an easy fix to all of our problems, narratively at least. Now I don't have to deal with Kylo Ren and Rey and the First Order and all the stupid decisions that were made at every conceivable level along the course of those movies. But I think it would be an enormous mistake to just say we have this magic button we can push that makes sure nothing matters. Because the audience is then going to say, okay, nothing matters, so we're not going to invest in this. I think my general pitch would be, okay, we are done with the Skywalkers with the Rise of Skywalker. Done. Take someone who understands mythological storytelling and mythological filmmaking. Tell them you're going to make a Star Wars movie. It is set 10 million years in the future from the end of Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, you're going to do a Star Trek Discovery?
No. Look, we don't have to advance technology.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, like, so much time has passed. There is zero connection to any of this.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, again, mythological references as part of the culture of the galaxy, maybe. Because you're dealing with, like, you need to be as far removed from the fall of the Empire as 2026 is from the pyramids. Like, I mean this. Move so far away that the Emperor and Vader and Luke Skywalker are King Tut and Cleopatra. Like, that's the amount of space we need from all of this. And then you get to make your own, then you get a trilogy. Do what you want. Again, and my suggestion for the director to do this has not changed since I heard someone suggest it, and I thought it was perfect. You need a director who understands mythological filmmaking. There's not that many of them. And the best going right now is probably still Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, I was going to say Peter Jackson, but either one of them.
Peter Jackson's broken.
Peter Jackson at the height of Peter Jackson's powers. I want a Peter Jackson type, or I want a Guillermo del Toro type. Either one of those two guys works for me. Whoever's that's, God, if we can find a diamond in the rough who's as talented as those two fellas, go with it.
Something like that is what you need.
I'm on board with that. I think that would be a good way to do it.
Because anyone else that we have to try and tie things together, and here's a Chewbacca reference because he's old man Chewbacca now, and here's someone reading from the book of Rey. No, none of that. None of it. You have to just. I'm not necessarily.
No, I mean, you're right. That's what I was saying. The more they try to tie this all into the same franchise, the worse it gets. They talk about how they want to do a big theatrical movie that's going to tie Ahsoka and Mandalorian and Grogu and Rebels and all of it together, and it is going to bomb.
Because you're not making money on this.
Well, it's going to bomb because no one wants to do homework.
Do you realize how long ago Rebels was? Rebels was when my kids were really little and I was still married. Like, that's how long ago Rebels was. You know how long Clone Wars was? I wasn't married or had kids. Like, we're drawing from material that is middle-aged at this point. It's how fucking old some of this stuff is. And again, trying to, like, people took the, I'm going to say this and then we're moving on. People took the worst lessons from the Marvel Universe. The reason why the Marvel Universe worked is because you only had 9 years to work with. So people's memories for some of this stuff was good enough that you could carry this over and you could have a big fuck-all finale with every character from every movie. Great. But it was an encapsulated period of time with one straight through line. Marvel never took a break. Star Wars has taken breaks. People don't, and again, Marvel wasn't drawing from, the 90s, the 70s, and Star Wars is. That's what I'm saying. Like, wipe the fucking slate clean. I think you take all of our ideas and you mash them together, and I actually think you can save this franchise. The other uphill struggle you're going to have is, kids don't watch movies anymore. They get, little ones get dragged by their parents, but, more and more every day I'm seeing kids that are teenagers or in their 20s or even, like late 20s, early 30s are drifting away from this kind. We had a comment on here a little while back. It was a dick comment, but somewhere beneath the guy just being a drive-by dick, there was a veneer of truth, and it was movies don't matter. I'm like, well, they do to me. Like, I like talking about them, and I think they're good cultural preservation. But if that's a competing religion out there, if that's a competing philosophical thought, I don't know how you then save any of it, because that monster, that fire is only going to get bigger and burn brighter as time goes on.
Dude, the question is whether or not the AI, I hate to phrase it this way, but the question is whether, fundamentally, like the issue we're going to run up against is whether or not the AI bubble becomes sustainable before it bursts. Because if it bursts, we're kind of stuck. We'll be back to the same problem of nobody wants to watch movies because no one has any attention spans. If the AI bubble becomes sustainable, you get people who will invest this much into it and then go, but I know what I want to see, and I can use this to make my fan fiction look pretty. And sadly, the AI slop is in some cases indistinguishable from the actual product at this point.
All right. Next weekend is The Breadwinner, Backrooms, Power Ballad. Those are the big three. They'll be in theaters. The Breadwinner is TriStar Pictures. I can't even believe they're still a thing. But that's
It's a label that gets brushed off every now and then.
Backrooms, I'm hearing a lot of people to the point where like my kids are trying to convince me to take them to go see it. My girlfriend Erica, that's one of the few that caught her attention, and I've had a few different people from different walks of life get really excited about whatever this Backrooms movie is by A24.
You want the brief pitch here?
If you can do it in 50 words or less, sure.
So this started as a 4chan post.
Yeah, someone mentioned that to me, and I don't know what that is. So
4chan's a message board.
Like Reddit.
It's a. Don't go there.
Okay, just keep going.
Hang on. So it started as a post there. It's a picture of this very liminal space with this yellow wallpaper, and the caption, if you no clip out of reality, you wind up in the back rooms. And there's look, if you go down these spaces, look, Reddit has places like this that, short horror stories connected to an image, be creepy, be whatever. There's millions of these things. And then certain ones of them, for whatever reason, spark. And this one did, because people started doing, hey, yeah, I went there once. And in no small part because like the great part about like liminal horror spaces is they do feel very real. It feels like a place you've been. So it kind of spun up on the internet so other people would post other images that all look like this space that is impossibly generic, yet somehow you've been there. This is what liminal space is. And you got people kind of independently and then collectively exploring out the space. Like, yeah, some of them just look like these endless office spaces with the yellow wallpaper. And there's some that have indoor pools. And they're like pools that don't belong, and it's all meant to be just unsettling. And then a few people made some pretty good short horror videos on YouTube about them that have millions and millions and millions of views. Again, some are better than others, but a lot of it kind of got spun up by one guy who put effort, who like built out his lore for this world, where what the backrooms are, what humanity knows about them, why humanity's trying to get there, why they're trying to, all that stuff. He built it out. It's fun. It's a big YouTube dive if you want to take it. If you just want the cliff notes, I think Wendigoon's video on it is pretty good. And the guy responsible for that YouTube channel got approached by A24 about doing the movie. And so it's still like the same guy doing it.
That's cool.
And if you're in kind of the online horror space, the backrooms have been a big thing for a while now. To the point where about the time they announced this movie, we were all kind of getting to the point where it's a little played out.
I was
But
going to say the original. I actually have the line that goes with the original thread, and it's like, if you're not careful and no clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you'll end up in the back rooms where nothing but the stink of old moist carpet, the madness of mono yellow, the endless background noise of fluorescent lights at maximum hum buzz, and approximately 600 million square miles of randomly segmented empty rooms to be trapped in. God save you if you hear something wandering nearby, because it sure as hell has heard you.
This feels like something that if it catches even a little bit of fire, it's going to be everyone's like favorite. It's going to be all the weirdo film people's favorite movie of the year.
very possible. So that's
We're
kind of
also
the
going to
pitch
see
for it.
like a million knockoffs coming very quickly.
Ugh. All right. Well, that said, we're not reviewing any of that bullshit. Instead, we're going to. That was mostly at the breadwinner. Because I can't handle 2 hours of a father being a dumbass, and then he's only not a dumbass at the end of it. Fucking stupid Hollywood. So anyway, we're not going to review any of that. We are going to review The Boys season 5. It'll be myself, Robert, Jesse, and Alexis, who joined us last season after the best season, which was season 3. And let me tell you, Alexis, I'm gonna say this out loud because I ain't afraid of no ghost. If I wasn't a petty motherfucker, I would just hand this review to you. I'm so just if it wasn't a deeply personal thing that I rob you of something you enjoy, I would absolutely fucking walk away from this review because I fucking hated the end of The Boys. It was one of those throw my iPad moments.
See, I'm still just trying to get Robert to review Obsession with me.
I'm sorry I didn't have time for that last week, but you know what? Obsession, for the record, $750,000 budget and has been a giant success monetarily.
Looks scary as shit. In the trailer I saw.
I have heard nothing but glowing
Fuck,
reviews.
I'm thinking
It's
of
like
Passenger. Which one's Obsession?
the guy makes a wish for the girl to love him above all else, and it's literally a be careful what you wish for because she becomes
that
like
trailer.
psychotically obsessed with
Okay.
him.
Robert, I watched Bad Lieutenant a couple days ago.
So did I.
Take everything Harvey Keitel says in the church when he sees Jesus and put it in Homelander's mouth at the end of The Boys after he loses his powers. Then you save season 5 from being complete dreck. Unfortunately,
No, but it helps.
unfortunately, having to watch this fucking pussy's wish fulfillment with Homelander, I'm not I'm looking forward to talking with my friends about a show I used to enjoy. I am not looking forward to talking to specifically analyzing The Boys. So what a mess this became.
You had the first 2 seasons are really good.
Mm.
Season 3, on further review, has ups and downs, but was where they should have ended it.
We had such a
'Cause
great
4
conversation.
is a
And I think that's it. We had such a great conversation. I think the season's better than it really was.
yeah. Like, our conversation about 3 is great. 3 as a season is a little uneven, but was where it should have ended.
Yeah.
4 is a fecal fiesta, and 5 is worse.
So June 1st, that'll be fun. My birthday week, right before I turn
Anyway.
50.
Yeah, like
This is one of the few times I almost wish I could jump out of a review because I feel like I'm once again going to be the lone little voice of positivity.
No, your
compared
boyfriend.
to the
No,
four of you.
stop. You're gonna ramble for 20 minutes and you're wrong because Jesse will be there and he's on your side.
Okay, good
So
point.
it'll be me and Robert versus you and Jesse in a tag team Texas Tornado match.
Look, if it makes you feel any better, I will be giving a speech about how they totally fucked up the use of Gen V for The Boys season 5.
Boy, you and a lot of other people are saying that. I've seen that all over TikTok.
Yeah, it's like, look, I enjoyed season 5. I am furious with how they handled the introduction of the characters from Gen V.
Yeah. All right. With that said, so we can wrap this up.
I haven't seen Gen V, so when they show up, I'm just going to be annoyed that they exist.
Great.
You're annoyed
Thank
that
you for
everything
interrupting me
exists.
for that. for the critical review.
Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
We have spent almost 2 hours kicking the living shit out of this movie and this franchise, and those are the scores. I don't even know why we do this podcast anymore. So 62%.
Because an enormous portion of these are shills, and that needs to be said.
So 62% on the tomato meter for all critics. Top critics is 64, so negligible difference. Verified audience is 88% and 87%. And I'm going to play a clip here of some of the audience reactions to this movie, far and wide. Thank you. All right. Let's see here. The AI writes, bountiful in action, but threadbare in narrative thrust. This table has many legs on it. It doesn't have a top, though, so it still works as a table. What? Bountiful in action, but threadbare in narrative thrust with its episodic structure. Ugh. This Star Wars is more of a skirmish that coasts on the charm of its central dynamic duo.
Is there a lot of charm to be had with those two in this movie? Like,
It's Pedro Pascal. The man has charm.
does he?
Ah, Jesus. Friggin'
Michael
Ryan's
Ward
Beetle.
of Should I See It? Serviceable, safe, and narratively thin.
Don't disagree with that.
Susan Granger of SSG Syndicate. Family-friendly, action-packed spinoff from the Disney Plus series, and not surprisingly, little Grogu steals the show.
Not really.
She's appealing to the moms that had this. She's appealing to the single moms that had to bring their kids because it was her weekend.
You're trying to write for the single mothers, and your Disney check cleared, I guess.
Yeah. Lauren Bradshaw of Fangirl Freakout. Friend of yours, Alexis?
She's muted and off screen at the moment.
At times, The Mandalorian and Grogu feels like two oversized episodes of the Disney Plus series jammed together. But all in all, the film is fun and entertaining standalone journey. Yeah, God.
It's not a journey.
Criticism is dead. Dead. D-E-D, dead. Oh, gosh. I got to find our friends here or I'm never going to get through this. Doug Walker, one of the internet's great monsters. It didn't need to be this long. That we agree, Doug. It didn't need to be this boring. It didn't need to be this ugly. It just didn't need to be.
Much as it makes my skin crawl to agree that much with Doug Walker, he is entirely correct.
Jeffrey Harris of 401mania.com, friend of the show. The Mandalorian and Grogu basically presented Mandalorian Season 4 as a stitched-together movie with theatrical production values. Despite that, Jon Favreau still crafts a fun, engaging, immersive, imaginative, and well-made adventure.
No, he doesn't. Okay, hang on. Bare minimum, this is not imaginative.
No.
Like, where's the imagination here?
Shaquille Lambert of CG Magazine. Your mileage on The Mandalorian and Grogu will purely depend on how much you still enjoy the show. A show that has not been on in several years. The movie is fun, but ultimately it's inconsequential to the franchise as a whole.
Dude, the height of The Mandalorian's cultural reach was in 2022, when everyone was still recovering from COVID lockdowns.
Rain Jokinen of mullingmovies.com. The Mandalorian and Grogu could have been 2 hours of Mando and Grogu sitting in a cockpit, not talking, with Grogu occasionally eating a snack, and that'd have come out satisfied. Ma'am, that you shoot heroin is not really, necessary to talk about a movie. I understand that if you drop acid and look at pretty colors, you'll be entertained for a while, but what use was what you just wrote?
You're invalidating your own perspective. Good job.
Laura Poitier of Starburst. As love letters go, it's illegible in places. But the affection is real, and that counts for something.
What
about
does
It's
that
a
have-
love letter too.
Yeah, it was like,
Well,
what
are
the
you-
hell does that have to do with anything?
Are you talking about your own love life, lady? This isn't your blog. Jesus.
I think she was reviewing the wrong movie.
I think she was reviewing her love life and dating, experience with dating apps. Sarah Michelle Fetters of MovieFreak.com. I do think kids will enjoy themselves. Yes.
Maybe not at 2 hours. They don't.
Yeah, I'm sure this is starting to lose kids. And maybe that's enough to give this middling adventure a pass. Even so, the Force is not with the Mandalorian and Grogu. In fact, I seriously doubt this is the Star Wars adventure most people are looking for. Move along. Okay, lady. We got it.
You crammed enough references in there at the end. Good job.
Yeah, really.
Congratulations.
Yeah, all that was missing was the reference to Nerf herder. Kyle Smith of the Wall Street Journal. Hey, an adult that used to be read by adults. When it comes to reinvigorating the Star Wars series, this is not the way. And that's why nobody reads the Wall Street Journal anymore.
I mean, again, it's not an incorrect sentiment, but your desire to be pithy is undercutting your ability to be taken seriously.
Speaking of don't take him seriously, Nick Johnston of Vanyaland. There's a solid action, if a bit jumpy and blurry in contrast to the show's fights, good humor, and an engaging addition to the cast in the form of White, who brings a lovely amount of heart to Rotta, even through his voice work.
Again, I don't know what you all heard in there that I didn't, but
Ernest.
know what
That's
I mean,
what I heard.
Vern?
Not that kind of Ernest, you dope.
I miss
Future,
him, Bernie.
the original future X Mrs. The original non-black of future Mrs. X, Robert Winfrey, Tanya Lamb of Lola Lamb Chops. Perhaps not quite the blockbuster Star Wars fans may be hoping. What are you, their lawyer? They may be hoping for. But The Mandalorian and Grogu on the big screen was a lot of fun.
This is a person couching their enjoyment in. This is a person aware that they shouldn't have enjoyed something they did and is trying desperately to avoid the cognitive dissonance. Instead of having the strength of character and perspective and articulation to make the point that, no, it's not good. Yes, I still enjoyed it.
I told Jesse last night, don't make the mistake that I did of watching Bad Lieutenant at the same time you're also watching The Boys and The Mandalorian and Grogu. The tonal whiplash, the craft whiplash, all of it is too much. Like, I watched excellent movie making with Bad Lieutenant. I just watched The Duelist. Like, oh my God. Like, if you like this Thursday when we do the Harvey Keitel focus, like when you go back and you watch old movies, and like Bad Lieutenant's from like the mid 90s, I think, and then The Duelist is the late 70s, and then you're like, oh my God, this is what good movies used to look like. This is what good movies used to feel like. This is what good movies used to be. And then I watched The Boys, and then I watched The Mandalorian and Grogu, and I was like, yikes. This is what I was talking about, like the kids today, they don't really appreciate movies, so they don't know how good things used to be. And I did that experiment, and it hurt me. I pulled something. That's what happened.
I'm sorry you injured yourself that way, Mark.
I injured my brain. Everyone go watch Bad Lieutenant. It's fucking fantastic.
People, if you be very careful watching Bad Lieutenant. I'm not going to tell you not to watch it. I'm going to warn you it is like 80% just gross exploitation.
It's so good. Alexis, yes or no? You ever seen Bad Lieutenant?
No.
You should watch it. All right. And I mean that sincerely. Speaking of sincere, Carla Hay of Culture Mix, another of the future X-Men's Robert Winfrey's. This spin-off of the Disney Plus series, The Mandalorian, doesn't live up to standards set by other Star Wars movies. This movie's first half is a soulless adult checklist of battles, while the second half flounders in predictability. Woo, she fucking made contact with this one.
I finally rubbed off on her a little bit.
Outstanding.
Really, I found her password, so now all of her reviews are secretly written by me.
Speaking of written by you, Jeremy Johns of jeremyjohns.com. It's safe. Disposable sci-fi slop. It's not science fiction either, you dope.
Mark, come on. I've made that argument with you, and you know the way it gets, you know the response. It's set in space, it's sci-fi.
Speaking of Lost in Space, Rachel Leischman of The Mary Sue. The Mary Sue Robert Winfrey. There's a reason I did that. If you've seen past shows, you'll know why. Robert
You're
is
trying to wake
himself.
up your girlfriend and instigate a fight.
You know me so well. I can't quit.
This
you,
would be
Robert.
the aggressive part of Mark's passive aggressivism.
Like I said, I can't quit you, Robert Winfrey. This isn't going to reinvest Star Wars as a whole, and it isn't changing movie history, but I do think The Mandalorian and Grogu is the kind of fun family adventure the fans of the show will still enjoy.
Here's the real problem with that, and I hate to beat this dead horse, but you have spent $250 million when it's all said and done, if not more, making and promoting this thing for a niche audience. That's a bad investment.
The human black version of a Grogu doll, Travis Hobson of Punch Drunk Critics.
Jesus.
I was trying to crack Robert up with that one. Not only is The Mandalorian and Grogu an adrenaline shot of summer spectacle, oh God, but Star Wars hasn't been this fun in ages. 12-year-old boy, Travis Hobson, everybody, of Punch Drunk Critics. Give him a round of applause. The white version of Travis Hobson, Grace Randolph of Beyond the Trailer.
The white Travis Hobson is how you should just refer to her all the time now. In the comments of our YouTube videos, I need you to refer to her as such.
You got it. The opening sequence, Göransson's score, and IMAX visuals make for a pleasant matinee, and one can respect the nods to Harryhausen and Henson. But for non-fans, this would be tough to sit through.
I'm assuming the nods to Harryhausen is the gladiatorial fight scenes, and that is the loosest connection.
Yeah, there's no actual connection to the genius of Ray Harryhausen going on here.
Yeah, Henson I get with the puppetry, but there's nothing in this movie that even remotely looks like classic stop motion animation.
That said, I didn't bring it up in particular, but bless Ludwig Göransson. He's trying real hard to have a score that elevates all this.
Yeah, I actually did enjoy the music. It kind of reminded me of like some of the stuff they did with Bowie back in the day. I'm trying to I don't remember if I'm thinking about Dune or some of the other movies of that era where, you know, a lot of the score sounds like a cat walking across the synthesizer, which I like. Kind of reminded me of that.
I did like the use of the, I think it's like a wood flute that they used for the leitmotif of the Mandalorian and how they work that into the score at various points.
Friend of the show, best friend of the show, William Bibiani of The Wrap. It's a deft and enjoyable blockbuster, easily the most purely entertaining Star Wars movie since the 1980s, even though it's hardly the most meaningful or ambitious.
Is he still a friend after that?
No.
Okay.
How is this deft when there's that much bloat in the movie?
Ian Sandwell of Digital Spy, the last one. It might not be the worst Star Wars movie, but it could well be the most inconsequential Star Wars movie, and that somehow feels worse. All right, Alexis.
You know what? That's not unfair, actually.
All right, Alexis, we're gonna put some Vaseline on your face. We're gonna push down some of your lumps, and spritz some water on your face. Get out there, kid. You have a what for? These are all boxing references. Go ahead and do
yeah. Okay.
go
So
ahead and do your plugs.
In addition to sitting in on the Boys review, season 5 review with the guys, we will also be looking at Spider Noir, which starts in 2 days. Looking forward to that. I'll be doing that with Ben Cologne and Jesse Starcher. It's actually kind of fun because we're dividing up which one of us is watching it in color and which one of us is watching it in black and white.
Why would you watch Spider-Man Noir in color? That defeats the purpose.
I would normally agree, but they're pushing hard the coloring that they did for this.
So because, from a technical aspect, you're curious about it? Okay.
Exactly. This isn't just because I'm sure you understand the idea that you have to have things colored a certain way before you black and white them. Otherwise, it looks incredibly muddled. Well, that's kind of what they're going with that. For
the record, everyone, if you've never seen the color photos of the Addams Family set, you're in for a shock. The old television show.
You know, that's actually why there was only one season of the Jetsons. because
Really?
they released it in color, but there wasn't enough people who had color TV, so everything looked muddled and was unappealing to watch.
Mm. Yeah, that tracks. But no, if you've
Yeah.
never seen you've seen the color photos of the old, like
Oh,
50s
yeah.
Addams Family. It's a Barbie house. It's all pinks and whites, but because when turned into black and white, that gave you the gray color palette that you needed for it.
That's also the reason why Frankenstein's monster is green, because to have the black and white effect on him, they painted Boris Karloff green so they could get the exact color that's stark white once they transitioned into black and white. So again, there is something to that, and I'm look forward to discussing the technical aspects of it, in addition to just discussing the hilarity that is Nicolas Cage. So I'm going to be talking about that. As far as the plugs that pay me, Honeysuckle Rose Creations, where fashion meets fandom at the intersection of geek and chic. If you are a Star Wars fan, then I suggest you go ahead and check out our shop.
Then why did you watch this podcast? Go ahead, sorry.
We actually just redid a lot of our Star Wars themed items not too long ago, because I go crazy and get bored if I don't either make something new or redo something every month or so. We have a ton of Mandalorian items, including our earrings, our choker. My personal favorite is the You Rebel Scum cufflinks. I originally made those for a custom order for a friend, and I just loved it so much I decided to keep it. We recently added Starbird earrings for those who are fans of Star Wars Rebels, big fans of Sabine Wren. Normally this time of the year I'm working a bunch of conventions, but we're taking things a little slow right now for a multitude of reasons, among others that I am getting ready to move, and I really don't want to.
Did you find a place to live?
Not yet.
Yikes.
And I have a week and a half to find an apartment.
Okay.
Yeah. So just a little stressed out, tiny bit still. Of course, this is our Etsy shop. We're also on Handmade at Amazon, and you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, and TikTok. And as far as, like I said, we're not doing a lot of conventions. We will be picking up pace in August. We're going to be doing the Comic-Con, or what is it? The Comic-Con Nebraska in Omaha. Last year was their first year show. It was a lot of fun. Kind of a slow show, but for a first year, not terrible. Looking forward to going back. Not to mention, Omaha is one of my favorite places to visit. Week after that is going to be Crypticon. That's here in Kansas City. That's a horror-themed show. That one is always a lot of fun. And the weekend after that is Colorado Springs Comic-Con, where we are expecting a big turnout, because not only do we have most of the cast of Hell of a Boss and Has Been Hotel, we are getting a League of Our Own reunion at this convention. We're getting a ton of the actresses, and I will be debuting Rockford Peach's earrings in celebration.
So Jesse and I had to revamp the schedule, and we ended up getting rid of the Deadly Class stuff, and we replaced it with an on trial for the movie A League of Their Own. And then a couple of days later, we're going to review the Amazon Prime show, I think it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, from 2022.
A League of Their Own. So yeah, it's interesting that's really funny that just coincidentally they're coming to this con and we're doing all this content.
The Amazon show is not nearly as good as the movie.
Nothing ever is, but I needed a replacement for Deadly Class that didn't involve comic books, and so that's where we landed.
That's fair.
All right, but yeah, that's Honeysuckle Rose Creations, the intersection of geek and chic.
All right. Yesterday, myself and Jesse, and for a little bit, Mick, talked Poppy, and we've declared that'll be the last time we talk about Poppy on the Metal Hammer. We've said all there is to say about her.
She's finally gone too far for you.
No, nothing like that. As a matter of fact,
I don't mean stylistically. I mean, like, she's finally just persisted to the point where you guys are like, okay, we're done.
What I said on the show was I've said everything I need to say about this person. I have nothing left to say, and the show is now monthly and not in such a different format that if I don't have anything else to say, there's no point in talking about the album or the artist.
So kind of where you landed with Rob Zombie, though, without quite the same amount of time you've dedicated to it over the course of your life.
Yeah, I don't have lived life experience with Poppy. So I do with Rob Zombie. This Thursday, it's a double dose of Robert Winfrey as we do Harvey Keitel movies. As I said before, Bad Lieutenant. Watch Bad Lieutenant, Alexis. Let's get some really great noir movies in your diet of movies. We're going to watch The Duelist, which I watched before the show tonight. Excellent movie. Can't wait to talk about it with you.
Ridley Scott's directorial debut. That's his first
hell of a
film.
fucking job, man. Gosh, remember when movies were made by adults with talent?
I remember when Ridley Scott hadn't lost the plot.
Yeah. And then Copland. So that's that. No show this Sunday as I will be at the Black Rose with the rest of the old white people. However, June 1st, as I said before, Robert and I will be in a tag team match against Alexis and her boyfriend Jesse as we hang the boys in the middle of the ring and climb the ladder and try to claim it as our own.
You can have it.
Well, we're trying to get the briefcase so that we can throw it in the East River. They're trying to get the briefcase so that they can run around and say, "Look what we got," and then hit Seth Rollins over the head with it.
Okay, tell you what. If we win, then there's no review for Vought Rising because no one wants to watch it.
So that's a whole Alexis thing. I am lighting the torch to the fucking anything related to the boys and walking away as the fire burns.
Yes, Jesse and I'll probably be reviewing Vought Rising. Okay, we did Gen V for you. We bleed for you. Okay.
Sure. I then turned 50.
That included. I almost made a very specific reference to a very specific Gen V character right then, and I'm glad I stopped myself.
But so I turned 50 on June 2nd, and I'm sure I don't sound like an angry, bitter man at all. On June 4th, however, we're going to be having my birthday party, and it's myself and just wonderful, good to her mother, just a lovely, lovely lady. Shay Tate will be with us because I do all things musicals with her. Alexis will be there because she can't get enough of my abuse. And Jesse, a good friend Jesse, will review anything with me. And what is the gift that I want to give myself to celebrate my 50 years on this dreadful mudball? The gift of torturing my friends. It's the thing I want the most. It's the thing I enjoy the most. And these are a few of my favorite things. And so what better way to torture my friends than with Grease 2? So we will be looking at the original Grease with John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John. And then I will subject them to the Michelle Pfeiffer vehicle, Grease 2. And I get to watch in horror as three of my good friends have to sit through their rendition of reproduction like my kids did on a TikTok years ago, where I literally saw them like in The Ring or some of these other horror movies where their faces deformed in real time. Oh, it was beautiful.
Alexis, have you seen Grease 2?
Yes, and actually, Mark, I need to talk to you after we cut.
You can't make that one? You can't make that show?
June 4th is the day I have to be out of the house.
Then you will not be on that show. You get to escape the torture.
Yeah, that is not me saying, please God, no. That is me saying, I don't know where I could possibly set up my laptop to record.
I honestly, if you're going to be homeless, you get excused. That's more or less the rule here. Is if you don't have a home to do a podcast, you don't have to be on the podcast.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Could you imagine if I was that kind of a dick? No. You go to a library or some shit.
Hey, I told you the story about how you got me bumped into a suite at the hotel because it made it sound like you were this ragged boss who was going to kill me if I didn't show up for Superman on time.
Okay, that's Mark. You being the boogeyman that Alexis can tell people about.
This horror
generate sympathy is so great.
Let's get you into this. Let's get you into the suite of Superman 2.
Okay, this is hilarious. So, Robert, you remember when we reviewed Superman? I was recording from Oklahoma City.
Yeah,
I was at a hotel. Well, I got in and I was running really close, like down to the wire. And they told me that it was going to be a few minutes because the room that they had me booked in, the air conditioning went out. So they were trying to figure out which room they were going to move me into. And I was not trying to be like, oh God, no. But I mentioned, I got to get on a podcast here in like 5 minutes. And they said, oh, well, we'd like to bump you up to one of our suites. And I'm just like, wasn't what I was going for, but okay.
Take the win.
So yeah, and I jumped with Mark. I was like, thank you for coming across as so scary that you would yell at me if I was late for my show.
Not the first time I've been viewed as scary, won't be the last. All right. I took you off the show, Alexis. You're not going to hurt my feelings about it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing a week from Thursday. Robert, what are you trying to torture your friends with?
I don't have any friends.
Oh, okay.
So I only have to, make my own life more difficult.
Wonderful. Tell us all about
Apart from poking Mark and Jesse about missing the most obvious prompt for their most recent music podcast. Because
you
I don't
explain that, or
sure, yeah, for the audience. So Mark and Jesse in the most recent sessions were doing their version of a song for our review of Jupiter's Legacy. And along the way, the AI lyrics got a little fuzzy. The enunciation of who can stop us.
Now I got it. Yeah, who can stop us?
And Jesse then said, wait, did he just say with a German accent, Hugestapper? And this tickled both of them to no end, this nonsense word.
It
So
was like Faggot Beefy from Midnight Madness. I couldn't stop laughing.
So they kind of, at the end of the show, decided to do a funny little song based on Hugestapper. And Mark's like, okay, here's the sound tag. Here's the genre tags for it. And I'm listening to this after the fact, not listening live. I'm listening to this after the fact, after Jesse said this word over and over again. And in my head is just the rhythm of polka. And Mark goes, okay, so we're going to have grindcore, clowncore.
Technical black metal.
Yeah. And he lists off a bunch of things, and he doesn't list polka. And they create a song that's kind of funny and is certainly great. But the next day when I get up, because I didn't want to message them like in the middle of the night, I just sent to both of them, how did you not go with polka as one of your tags for Hugestapper? At which point, Mark and Jesse both had to go, man, how did we miss that?
So
and
now,
then Jesse quickly threw something together, which is still the same song, but with accordion hits, and it's the funniest thing ever.
So shortly after Hugestapper drops from the Rattle Legend Broadcasting Network band, there'll be Hugestapper, the Polka Your Eyes Out remix.
Yeah, it's...
Have either of you ever danced polka?
No.
I mean, there's a Polish part of like Brooklyn that I've been to. That's as close as I get.
I actually I took a classical dance course in college for one of my electives, and we had to dance the polka, which basically involved all of us accidentally slamming into each other, trying to like swerve in and out around it, and bruising the hell out of our legs.
When you're not homeless anymore, I need like a video of you dancing the polka.
Curse my Polish roots.
So fun story, loosely related to that. What's the name of the dance at the end of? The Shakespearean play with Puck and Oberon, and for some reason,
Midsummer Night's Dream.
Midsummer Night's Dream. For some reason, my brain was stuck on 12th Night because night's in both titles.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of that play, there's the players that come in, because it's a Shakespeare play, so there's a traveling theater troupe.
It's like, would you rather epilogue or dance? And the king goes, we'll dance.
I was in a production of this once.
What part were you?
Small part.
Okay.
I was not the fairy king. I was the duke of the island. So I'm in it for there's 3 scenes. It's nothing.
Oh, okay. You're the one who's getting married.
Yeah.
Okay.
Two of the people in this play knew how to do the dance listed in the and didn't tell any of us that they knew how to do this. So when we get to that part, and I'm the one who delivers the line, no, go on leave your epilogue alone, go on with your dance. They break into this dance, and everybody who just falls over because it's the funniest thing in the world. When it's done, it's sprung on you out of nowhere. I can't remember the type of dance. I can't remember the type of dance it is, and that's kind of what's killing me because, but it was great. Anyway, so apart from that, I cover mixed martial arts and professional wrestling over at 411mania.com. Last week, I reviewed SmackDown, which was not good, and Saturday Night's Main Event on Saturday because there was no UFC event, and that was pretty good. Lest I be accused of just hating everything. That one was pretty good. Inconsequential, but mostly well executed. And it was so nice not to have a commercial break every 3 minutes because they were on Peacock for that instead of ESPN. I also, again, there was no UFC event on Saturday, but I previewed the upcoming one on the 411 Ground and Pound MMA podcast over on the 411 Wrestling and Entertainment YouTube channel, where I previewed the upcoming card. They're back in Macau, China, so I will be awake at 2 a.m. for the prelims to start for that. That'll be fun. I also talked about the combat sports results for the week, including the absolute disgrace that was the stoppage in the Usyk and Rico Verhoeven fight.
If I didn't want prime rib so badly or to cost my dad more money and food for a very personal reason, I almost quit my own birthday dinner for that. I was so mad. Like I saw them stop that fight. I'm like, my girlfriend and my parents are looking at me like, why are you so mad? And I'm like, and then I turn into Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. They start pointing at all the pictures and red lines and everything.
Yeah, the conspiracy meme.
Yeah.
So I talk about that because I think Usyk was going to win that fight. Okay, do you want the official version of this, Mark? Because I'll give it to you if you want the official version.
10 words or less, yeah.
Okay. Officially, the scorecards we know what the scorecards were after the 10th round. They've posted the official scorecards.
That's where you're going with this. Okay, got it.
2 judges had it even after 10. 1 judge had Rico up by 1 round.
Okay.
For the record, both of which are fair scores from my vantage point.
Okay.
Usyk has a knockdown in the 11th. So he's going to be up 2 points. And everything that happened in the 11th indicated that Rico was kind of falling apart. He'd fought a brilliant 10-round fight. Well, as brilliant as you can be.
Yeah.
But he was kind of figured out. His legs were going away, and Usyk had finally figured out how to get to him.
I think Usyk was headed towards a 12th round stoppage, but
yes.
That's besides the point.
No, I'm with you. That's my stance. I don't think what happened changed the outcome. I think it was bad the way it happened because you look crooked or incompetent and you robbed a guy of the opportunity to find a miracle.
Yeah.
Which Rico would have needed at that point. But you don't stop a fight because you don't think he can do it. Not if you're the ref. That's ridiculous. So I yell about that.
I don't want to talk about it for too long, but people pointing out what they did with, and as they should have, Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder.
Oh yeah,
I did. Where it was like Brock Lesnar and the Cro-Magnon. He almost lost the title to. Where Brock Lesnar was fucking out cold, and they're like, "Are you awake, Brock?" And yes, and then he beats him in the second round.
Dude, Rico was less hurt in that fight than Tyson Fury was against Usyk in their second.
I'm well aware.
It was ridiculous. That's the problem.
Right.
So anyway,
yeah.
I yell about that. I talk about other news, like the numbers that Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano drew for Netflix, which is solid. Peak viewership was 17.2 million. Average was 12.5, give or take. So I talk about all that. If you're interested in the wide, wacky, wonderful world of combat sports, check out the 411 Ground and Pound MMA podcast. And this week, I mentioned, again, SmackDown on Friday and the UFC event very early Saturday morning. So that'll be fun. This SmackDown is the go-home show for Clash in Italy. So
I would love to do I would dedicate an entire Whiskey Rebellion to if we could get across-the-board numbers of every live Netflix thing. NFL, comedy roasts, WWE, the Ronda Rousey thing, boxing. I would just love to do a comparative analysis. Such a dorky thing to say out loud, but I would love to do an entire discussion, comparative analysis of every live event Netflix has done since Jake Paul, Mike Tyson.
I can tell you nothing. I can tell you from the numbers they have released.
But that's the thing.
Nothing has done better than Jake Paul and Mike Tyson.
The NFL stuff kind of surprises me, but that's my point. I want to see what this looks like if we had all the available information, all the information that would tell you that, not just what they decided to release. And that's why I don't want to dedicate real time to this.
Yeah.
Anyway,
no, that's fair. So,
all right, folks.
And as Mark mentioned, on Thursday, he wants to spend 2 hours talking about Bad Lieutenant. So we will dedicate 90 minutes to Bad Lieutenant and then 30 minutes equal parts to Copland and the Duelists.
It's so good. Watch Bad Lieutenant, Alexis.
See, Mark's going to be doing
If
this.
okay, will that be my birthday gift to you since I'm bowing out of the show?
Yes.
Okay.
You are warned.
I'm not making her watch Irreversible. Calm down.
I'm aware. I'm just saying, Alexis, be warned. In the first 15 minutes,
It's a
there's a
tastefully,
lot of
it's a tastefully done exploitation scene.
there's a lot of naked Harvey Keitel.
So naked Harvey Keitel is the best Harvey Keitel, and that is the phrase that pays here on the Rattledge and
That's not
Broadcasting
even
Network.
the scene Mark was referencing when he said it's a tastefully done exploitation scene.
Yes. For Robert Winfrey, for what's left of Alexis's soul, I hope the Spurs and the Knicks face off in the NBA Finals. Be well, be safe, and behave.